seconds left. It's going to come down.
Favor making a third as he looks up. Making up. He finds the drop. Three. Stunning here from.
Still in SCS, we've not had a series with 3 maps. If you missed the first, it was a 2-0 for Mystic, but now, not only do I have a new person joining me, I've got Harrison in the booth with me. For Wichita Wolves Surf, maybe this will be the one, Harrison? We have 3 maps? Perhaps? Who knows?
Perhaps. It's definitely a possibility, especially with the maps we have, but we're not going to get towards that just yet. But Surf and Wichita Wolves. So Wichita Wolves being one of our, again, Challenger League invited teams. They were in playoffs, although went out of single playoffs without winning a single map. We're not going to talk about that, though.
That was awkward.
As well as Surf, who, like Mystic, are considered at the very top of T3, and there's definitely an argument to be made for both teams being the best. And I'm actually super excited because Wichita Wolves and Surf play very, very distinctly almost opposite play styles.
They, I don't know. I'm just very excited for this one because, again, as I've even seen people say on Twitter, I think I saw Fame say this, that he considers that Surf, well, in his opinion, that Surf was the only actually like T2 ready team. I think you could certainly make an argument for Mystic. I'm excited to see how Surf actually stacks up against the CL team, especially after, what was it, 12-0 flawless run in the qualifiers? You can take a look at the rosters real quick, of course. We talk more and expand a little bit more about both these teams, but for Wichita Wolves, they are the CL team. They're coming in, of course, against any amateur team. They're looking like the favorite, but as we've just seen, you can't always count on that T2 name on your, or label next to your name to get you a victory. For Wichita Wolves, there's been one big change. Abonai is gone, Reed is in, and what that has allowed is a lot more flexibility on the roster. Reed is taking up a bit more of a support position on the back line. What that means, and Harrison I know is just as excited as I am, Forrest is on entry. The man who could still perform on flank watch and support, who is cracked, even though Gunnar thinks he sucks. I think Forrest is great, and I think him on the entry can be spectacular. But most importantly, Forrest has experience IGLing and shot calling. Callout has experience IGLing and shot calling. Reed has the same as well. There is so much leadership on every single aspect of this roster that even though I think Surf could come away with a win, it's going to be pretty difficult going up against a team like Wichita, which doesn't on the surface seem to have many flaws.
Yeah, Wichita Wolves are now 3 very seasoned veterans, now joined by Freak and Mohesi, who we've seen do incredible work. They're definitely a scary team, but Surf may just be scarier. Like you had already mentioned, Carter, 12-0, flawless run through the open qualifiers, and, well, they have one of my very favorite players. I'm a simp for Asian. That guy is built different. Some of the best mechanical skill, crosshair placement, reaction time I have seen in this game. Somehow, he's able to just find the frags wherever he is with red dots. No less. And of course, he is joined by Ashen, Spiff, Reed Sync, and Ambi, their newest pickup. And fun fact, Surf not only went flawless in the quals, they went flawless in the quals with not a single scrim with Ambi on their team. So if that isn't a huge testament to just the individual mechanical skill and cohesion this team already had before they started scrimming, I'm afraid for all the teams in their group, because Surf are a powerhouse. Of course, we want to take a look at the critical points. Like we said, undisputed best team out of the qualifier, but is that cohesion and firepower going to be enough to break down the seasoned veterans of WW?
I don't know. Of all the teams, I think Surf has a good shot. But let's see where we're playing. I know you mentioned it earlier, Harrison, that for SCS so far, it's not just been the standard slog of Club, Cafe, Villa. In fact, we have not seen Villa yet. We will not see it in this series, but we will see Coast. And sure, we have repeats of Cafe and Oregon, but at least from the previous series. But starting out on Coast should be an incredible pace to start out for this series.
Especially because I know Surf absolutely adore Coastline. And I mean, you can tell just with the way they play it, they love Coast. It's obvious. Yeah. Wichita Wolves Cafe has also been a long-standing bastion for them. So like you had said previously, this might be the first series that goes 3 maps, and it'll be on Oregon, another great equalizer where Surf probably have a pretty good chance of pulling it out if we need Oregon. And, again, fun fact, Coastline and Cafe being played today. We've had Bank, we've had Chalet, Club, and Oregon. Curiously, we have yet to play Villa so far in 4 games.
You'd think of all the maps, especially maps that aren't really played that often, like Bank, Chalet also, even though it's been in the pool for a while, still isn't exactly the most common map.
Usually
stereotype of T3.
It's like Bank and Coast. Those are the ones that never get played. But we've had Bank twice. Already, they I didn't even expect to see Bank twice in like the
No,
first
not at all.
entire 2 weeks.
Also, at least with Villa, I don't know about you, Harrison. I know you don't like Oregon that much. Me personally, I feel like I've casted like a lifetime's worth of Villa in the past couple months, so I'm fine actually giving it a little bit, put it on the back burner a little bit, let it stew amongst teams, decide if they want to go to it. But I know, Harrison, you and I, we're the only ones, and Ty, but Ty was just kind of contrarian with his predictions. Gonna shade him a little bit. You and I both predicted that Mystic would beat the CL team of IF.
Woo!
And this one is a little bit more one-sided for Surf than the Mystic one was against IF.
Yeah, Surf, we had actually... Oh, yeah, so we had 3 people predict Mystic over IF, and here we have 3 people predicting Wichita Wolves over Surf, so a little bit of a reversal. The majority voting for the T3 team, and again, Surf just... It's hard to find weaknesses in their play. Because
Agreed.
Even when they play that aggressive game and they get kind of caught off, right? Teams expect it. They just kind of peel back and wait for Surf to come, which is normally how you expect teams to, more experienced teams, to react to over-aggressive teams. We saw it in One Shot versus Eclectic, right? What did One Shot do? They just waited. They knew Eclectic were going to push out. They just collected the kills as they came. The problem with that, when you play against Surf, is that, well, walking in is their specialty. No matter what you do, I mean, we've seen Asian, we've seen Ashen, we've seen the rest
Asian,
of them
definitely.
do it over and over again. They don't even need info. If they're looking at the angle you're peeking, I mean, you're dusted. You're done for. So is that passivity actually going to hurt Wichita Wolves, especially on a map like Coast?
What's ironic, too, is, Harrison obviously just talked about how, they don't need info to necessarily walk in. Asian can just make a play happen. Ashen can just make a play happen. They don't need the intel. But as one of the critical points mentioned, and Harrison started to touch on, and Harrison and I have talked about in private, Surfer surprisingly disciplined for a T3 team, especially one that didn't have a lot of scrims in quals. I mean, we mentioned Ambi, who you and I have personal experience with Ambi. And
Ambi and disciplined are...
disciplined, being reserved, not character traits I would associate with Ambi.
No, especially not after playing Halo with him.
No, not after playing Halo. But one thing you and I were both surprised by, how good of a flank watch he was. And not one that was rushing in, but one that just genuinely did his job, served on the back line, and didn't really push in. Sure, like players Asian and Ashen can act out or without intel, but that isn't to say that's a pattern of their behavior. It's a capability, but it's not a trend that Surf employ. They are a very smart team, and one that is impressively so, considering I don't believe anybody on this roster is 18. I might be wrong, but...
No, I believe you're correct. I think the closest one to being 18 is... Reed Sync, who I think turns 18 in January or February of next year. He said in chat he turns 18 in like a month and 20 days. So I'm going to assume January 27th is probably his birthday. But he's the closest one to being 18. No one on this team is CL ready just by the age requirement. But they are an extremely talented roster. I mean, like you said, and
that was a role I would never expect.
He's been a good nomad.
He has.
He can play the lion. It's been really surprising. So, I mean, pleasantly surprising, I have to say. I don't have to yell at Ambi to not push out and stop watching flanks. But we're going to load into the map now. The players are ready. We'll get the bans going. And Coastline can be pretty varied with the bans, honestly. Sometimes a hard breacher, sometimes a Thatcher, even though you don't really need to ban Thatcher all that much on this map. We've seen Flores bans. We've seen Nomad, Lion, even a Zero ban once or twice. But it'll be Thatcher first from Surf. We're not going to stray from tradition, at least not yet. Now it's Wichita Wolves left to decide who they want to ban next, and I would imagine it's probably a flank watch operator, because that's usually what we see here. No,
I would imagine too. Oh, still I would say a very good ban. Maybe that actually might be for Ashen. I will say though, I've seen hard breach bans become a little bit more prevalent because of some of the map changes. Sometimes a Hibana gets banned, but it's still not necessary. It's still a bit of a niche pick, and you don't need to run it by any means to succeed on this map. Sophia could be a nerf for Ashen, but also for an aggressive map. You want to take off one of those aggressive operators. Valkyrie ban coming out next for Wichita Wolves. Valk is a must ban, and one that they also usually ban anyway. But for Coastline as well, especially against Surf, it's not an operator you want to deal with.
That's funny.
There we go.
When we banned Valkyrie, it was the Mira portrait, and then when they banned Mira, it was the Valkyrie portrait.
Oh, was that the funny part? I didn't get that.
Yeah, that was funny.
I didn't think that was it. I thought it was something else.
I just felt the need to point it out, just in case. Maybe we have blind viewers. I want to let them in on the joke.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, I respect that.
I'm being a nice guy.
I just threw my pen at myself. That was weird.
Bans pretty standard, with the exception of Zofia. But even then, the Zofia ban
Sensible.
definitely makes a lot of sense. You don't wanna leave that up against people like Ashen. Valkyrie too. Again, I mean, Ashen plays a lot of Valkyrie.
Harrison.
What?
It's read.ww versus read-surf.
Oh crap. You're right. How about we say read sync for read and instead of read.ww, it's red.
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
How about Reed? We call him Reed Adams.
Reed Adams, the full thing?
Yeah,
So Reed
yeah,
Adams
full-
and read sync.
Yeah. Now it's just
Gotcha.
that's useless. Ooh, I do want to comment on this. We have seen, especially because of the BP changes and how much stronger they are, we did see this a couple times before, how people will kind of punch holes in a wall and then put in a Rooney gate in front of it and put the BP in that hole. I didn't put it there. No, there might be another one there. They do have 2 bulletproofs on the board, but that's why there's that hole in the wall right there, is I believe that's why, I'm assuming at least.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Yeah, it's
In the
very
center panel.
it's a very open setup here on Hookah for Surf. And hey, they want to create the angles because we know they love peeking them. They want to give themselves as many opportunities as they can to try and catch these attackers off guard. And already, Forrest on the Iana on his brand new entry roll. He's back on it. He spots out Ashen on the mute downstairs in office, who is currently being powered up by the one signal jammer he has left in his pocket for whatever reason. He's holding close with the shotgun, and we've seen Ashen, you know, he doesn't necessarily need the 150 to get kills. I remember the first time I saw Ashen, he was actually on the SMG-11, and it was extremely impressive, and he's just going to start swinging the doorway against Forrest, and Ashen, sorry, not against Forrest, against Freak. Ashen gets that first frag, and somehow the nade doesn't kill Spiff. Ambi's the next to take some damage, I believe, from Ohesi. They actually trade, but they know this Jaeger. He's locked inside of security. Here come the stuns.
He's dead, right?
Spiff is likely a dead man, and there's Ashen actually with a kill before Mohesi gets the trade, so still a man advantage for Surf.
They do manage to play off that EE1D very well, play off that utility, and while Spiff was taken down, the fact that Ashen is able to get 2 picks, all because of that clear and attempted clear into office and security, very good positioning, very good individual play by Ashen. Unfortunately, Spiff had to be the sacrificial lamb for it to work, but I think 4-3 lead right now. We've taken down the entry and the Dokkaebi, who could be very problematic for the players playing offside if those calls could come through. They still have to deal with the E1Ds, but also, minute 30 left. Only 1 remaining. Mohes trying to find a kill across the way inside of office, but one is not giving himself up. Reed has 14 Shamika grenades to still launch over towards Aqua if they push from there. He's doing it right now. Ashen has a C4 to deny the plant. There is so much utility on top of the additional man for Surf, and one's still behind inside a penthouse. Mohes could probably die if he doesn't account for this.
Well, Mohesi now knows about it. Is he going to be able to fight back? Ambi now put to low. They're trying to pinch him out with Callout in the bathroom, spotting one through the wall. Actually, that's forced to take all the damage, but finally Ambi exposes himself and gets taken down, but the next beast is here. It's Asian, downing Mohesi all the way down from the end of the 90 hallway, and now Forrest very afraid of this position. Nading through actually could potentially catch Asian, but no. Wasn't cooked enough. The Aruna gets away easily, and he wants to keep pushing through. He wants these fights. Call out. He's going to sledge through the wall, reveal his position. Asian slowly creeping his way through. Call out has absolutely no idea. Easy for the Aruni. Asian puts the man count back in his team's favor, and look at the HP. Forrest and Mohesi are so low, but they do trade back Asian. Now it's a 2-on-2, both defenders full HP. This is going to be pretty tough for Wichita Wolves to fight out of as they try and creep down the hallway. But what a flick! What? Ashen! You're not supposed to hit those. I mean, you know, the Chonka was right around the corner. It would probably won the round anyway, but... what a reaction from the mute. I'm speechless.
Oh! God damn! That was nice.
I hope we can see that on the replay. I want to see that again.
I did too. That was, oh my god, that was so nice. But here's the unfortunate thing for Wichita. Oh my lord, God. Oh, that was so beautiful. Here's the problem for Wichita Wolves, right? Is like, because contrast that with like the IF Mystic game we just saw. Mystic would constantly be putting themselves in places like being at the forefront of the defense, and IF would sometimes still struggle to clear them. Like they would lose a lot of bodies, things like that, or they might not even clear it. They might just go a completely different way. But for there, Wichita Wolves tried very early on. Like, all right, there was like 2 people roaming inside a security and office. Let's take them down. And then Ashton said, okay, there's 2 of you that are now dead. Wichita Wolves had the right idea there. They did actually need to start clearing out those people on their own, whether they were inside a penthouse or inside a security because of Ashton's threat with the C4 from below. You need to deal with that. But he just didn't care. He won those fights, and maybe you can blame it on maybe poor coordination, what have you. Freak was playing by himself, so maybe that's one point you can look at, but Mohes was pushing in with someone to take down Spiff, and because they didn't clear out Ashen, he still got a kill there. So maybe there was really the fault with the clear inside of Office, but Wichita Wolves were still doing a lot right in the early round. It just, Surf just won their fights.
Yeah, and I think that's another big difference between Surf and Mystic. You notice the way Mystic play. You know, if we want to harken back to the last rounds of Bank with Gunner hiding under a desk, a lot of Mystic's play is very ratty. And it works, granted. You know, I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm just saying that's the way they play. A lot of Mystic's strategy on the defense with their roams are more about the surprise, whereas Surf actually set up roams like, hey, clear us if you can. We dare you. Now, one player will be cleared. Freak already taking Ashen off the board, the man who got a 3K, and that beautiful, beautiful flick at the end of the round. Unfortunately, we will no longer see him in play in round number 2. He'll die first. That's also a C4 off the board. And on the downstairs defense, that's not the best start for Surf.
To take down that C4. Mohes on low HP. The fact that Dokubi Call is still alive as well, Reed not taken down early on like he was previously, can still ring their phones, but fortunately here for Spiff, the nice thing is they know exactly where he is. Do they know where Ambi is, who's tucked just around the corner inside of Hookah, supporting the Jaeger, playing behind the shield? Nobody's directly pressuring him yet, but they're starting to maneuver forward in through Aqua, in through 90 as well. Now it's Asian to potentially deal with some pressure, tries to take the fight, but misses the shots, unfortunately. Forced to retreat, but Reed with the cleanup. Actually, I believe they were both inside a main lobby, but weren't aware of each other's presence, but 2 kills immediately follow through for
Reed
Surf as well. Reed out of Reed. Mohes down as well. The Dokubi Calls and the EE1Ds. This execute wants to happen for Wichita Wolves. 2 big factors to isolate and pinch out the defenders or keep them in place. Now dead.
Yeah, so Reed Sync, able to get the kill on Reed Adams. Also, the reason why Asian lost that fight and didn't hit his shots, he's running a 1.5 and not the red dot. He lost his power. That's all there is to it. But that those are some excellent refrag from both Ambi and Reed Sync. We're now back down to a 3-on-3, which was a what was a pretty tremendous start for Wichita Wolves, knocking 2 of traditionally the best players of Surf. It immediately equalized. Now, Wichita Wolves do have a decent bit of utility. They still have 4 nades, and I wouldn't be surprised if 4 still has the Gon in his pocket as well. They got to try and hunt down Ambi, who is completely unaware of Forrest, bearing down behind him in security. So 3 versus 2 now, heading to the last 30 seconds. And looks like the Execute is going to attempt to come through service, both the doorway and lobby. Forrest droning in with the Iana clone. Actually not checking by the doorway. No, he will finally turn around, but Reed Sync pushes out the doorway on ADS into the waiting arms of Callout. That leaves Spiff in a 1 versus 3. Mr. Spiff don't whip is going to need to land all his shots this time, but he lands 1. Freak gets the refrag, and Wichita Wolves tie us up 1-1.
Well, at least there, if you can't whiff if you don't shoot. But unfortunately, you can't win the round either. But then again, it was a very difficult position. 1 coming in from service, 1 coming in from... Actually, I almost call it the Presidium for a second. That's a Mass Effect. Well, that's not an actual call out here. And it's a very similar area in Mass Effect that looks similar, and it's like a square. Coryard is what I meant to say, but had a brain fart. Timeout already, actually.
Round 3? Really?
Oh, no, never mind.
Oh.
Well, I don't know what happened there, but assuming everything is fine, that go around, Harrison, they were far more successful on clearing out those players. Ashen was like the dude, like at the basketball game, who's like yelling at the players, like, "You suck! Come on up here! No, come on up here!" Except
and then they actually
this time it's like the Pacers game, like the players came up there.
That's what I'm saying. The Surf's roams are a lot of they're not surprise based. They're, hey, we are roaming. Look at us.
And then
come on, come get us.
Wichita Wolves were like, all right,
if you say so, as you wish. They were simply obliging Surf. They were being nice. You gotta hand it to them. Generosity at its finest.
And also here, Penthouse is a site where maybe not as hard roaming as they were last time, but you are going to need to hold positions off-site. You do need to play inside a VIP to make the site a lot easier to hold, so there will be somebody there. A likelihood, knowing Surf, wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody maybe going down below as well, maybe even going further onto Cool Vibes if they really want to go that far. But we did see Wichita Wolves, of course, struggle when they don't get those opening picks, but when they are able to properly isolate the defenders, they can not only get that kill, but work very well around it and spreading out and gaining more map control. So, good way to win that last round, because you're going to need to do something similar here.
Yeah, and the angles that Surf have set up, again, are plentiful. They want these fights, just like we saw in how they set up Hookah. They've even got a castle in the hands of ReedSync. Interesting that he actually castled off the theater doorway. It's a little bit odd. I mean, you do have the walls open. At least, they weren't open when we saw, I don't think, but they probably eventually have those walls open. So you have the angles you need as the defense, while also denying the attackers the long angle from Hall of Fame all the way that cuts through theater, and as well as from bathroom. I think from bathroom you can actually see the theater doorway into the 90 hall. So that's a good castle barricade, restricts a lot of those lines of sight from the attackers without really taking them away from the defense.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Right now, of course, as you'd expect, Wichita Wolves putting a heavy amount of focus on taking this VIP area, but nobody's actually playing inside of that room. They are, of course, as Harrison started to mention, they are taking more so angles outside of that room, denying angles the attack can play, but also giving themselves angles to watch these players. Asian, unfortunately, actually exposing himself a little bit. A little bit of poor positioning coming out of the Maestro. Exposes himself, sets himself directly in front of the rotate hole. And a member of the attack, I believe it was Forrest, is able to peer directly on in, down him, and then eventually finish him off. So does Evil Eyes will remain stationary for the rest of the round, and maybe a bit of a preventable position by Asian, even if he wanted to hold that spot. Forrest is refragged and traded out, so you do take down that Yana, but most importantly, Wichita Wolves, half the round is gone, still struggling to find an entrance into VIP.
And the site presence is a little bit weak from Surf. 3 bodies currently off-site. Spiff, as well as Ambi. I think it was just ReedSync in theater? Because Ashen is in Sunrise, if I'm reading the silhouettes correctly. Yeah,
Asian
he's all the way by he's all the way by Mudroom. And the plant is going down from Callout. Now, ReedSync will get a kill onto Reed Adams. Okay, I guess that's going to be a common theme this match. And that'll get Callout off of the plant. But finally, ReedSync is refragged by the planter himself, though Freak goes down as well. So the man advantage still in the hands of the defense. C4 goes out, doesn't find the kill because Callout is already dead. Well, as he finds one back, so 1v3 down to the 1v2, but it's still a 1vx. He's going to try and hop through, aided by the EE1D. Now takes control of theater, but there's someone right outside the wall. It's Ashen, who is just waiting for his opportunity. Surf take Penthouse and reclaim the 1-point lead.
I think that was a good read and a good call by Wichita Wolves. I mean, right as you said, hey, there's only one
dead. Oh, sorry. Both of them were.
Actually, temporally speaking, based on when I'm talking, neither of them are dead, so shut your mouth. Because I was going to say it was a good read, because they read into the fact, right as you said it, that, hey, the only guy on the site is ReedSync. So they're like, hey, let's go for the plant. Not a bad call by any stretch of the imagination. One of the players was in Sunrise. That was actually... When I saw Aruni, I actually just assumed it was Asian. I forgot he was dead. That was actually Spiff, but Asian plays Aruni so often, I was just like... It's almost like Pavlovian response to my brain, like, oh, Aruni, Asian. But it was not. So there are many players offside. Reed's the only one left, but the fact that he's able to get that kill, was that on the planter or the coverage, Harrison? I actually can't remember.
Which kill?
Where Reed got inside the site? Yeah, where ReedSync got.
I know it was onto Reed. Covers, I think.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I thought somebody fell off the plant, so...
Actually, well, no, because Callout had the diffuser, but I find it hard to believe that the sledge was with the diffuser in the first place. So maybe he killed the planter, and Callout was covering, and he was forced to swing in to recollect it?
Well, we'll just do one for both scenarios. If it was the planter he killed, then that's a bit more of a failing on Wichita Wolves, and some poor coverage if ReedSync from theater is able to get the planter, maybe a bad plant spot, or poor coverage from whoever was watching. In this scenario, it would be Reed watching. But if ReedSync instead killed one of the coverage and the planter was forced to fall off, that in all honesty could have just been a gunfight that ReedSync happened to win. I mean, we've already seen in this 3 rounds alone, Ashen come away with kills that he probably shouldn't have. And that's a common theme that we've seen with some of these T3 teams so far. So could have been Wichita Wolves' fault, might not have been. Either way, I think it was a good call, but the execution, unfortunately, just didn't go their way, either because of their fault or just by happenstance.
I imagine Reed Adams was the one with the case, and Reed Singh killed him, like, trying to run into the site from, like, either Hall of Fame or bathroom, and then Call Out, who was supposed to cover from the double window, was like, ah, crap. Well, now I gotta swing in and pick it up.
That makes sense.
I feel like that's probably what happened. By the way, we are taking this timeout because Ambi has to restart his game. I don't really know why.
Is it car game?
But,
Sorry.
no, car game isn't Halo, man.
Sorry. Also, just realized not only is this Reed versus Reed, it's Forrest versus Ambi.
See, I'm kind of scared if Wichita Wolves lose this, because every time Forrest has lost a game, he, like, ats me in Discord or even on Twitter for Among Us. Actually, no, recently it was Crab Game.
Wait, he changed? He added you for Crab Game?
Yeah, he did.
Dang. I guess even
He added me for Crab Game.
I guess even Forrest and his love for Among Us must adapt to the times and the meta shift in overall gaming.
Meta
shift? I never seen that. I never seen that man not at for Among Us. But I guess we all have our character arcs. We all grow and develop. In this case, you know, Forrest simultaneous with his I guess would you say hanging up the Among Us hat, if you will? And then moving over to Crab Game. Moving over to Entry as well. Doing okay so far. Did he get the opening pick? 'Cause I know he died soon after, but I didn't know if that was him or somebody else. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, it was him. I think he actually just kind of walked into Hall of Fame.
Well, by the way, opening pick on the Maestro is certainly impactful. But after that, Surf obviously able to find a bit of a moment on site. But one thing I have enjoyed so far, Harrison, is feel like unlike parts of Mystic IF, first 3 rounds so far have been very close in every single one. Whereas like Mystic IF, it was like one round, it was like, all right, IF definitely won that. The other was like, all right, Mystic definitely won that. Both times there have been very, very good opportunities for both teams to push for a win, but have been shut down. So overall, been a good couple rounds. Hopefully it bears more fruit for the matchup, and hopefully we can get Ambi's PC restarted so we can see more of it.
I thought you didn't like fruit.
I mean, like usually when I like some fruit. So if I say like fruitful or things like that, I'm probably referring to grapes or apples.
Ah, I see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But,
do you like pineapples and shrimp tacos as well? It's a very specific one I know people get confused by.
What the hell?
It's good. It's a good combo. You should have it.
Moving off of that. One of the other things you were talking about enjoying, you know, the closeness of this game in the round. Something that I have been enjoying is the pace.
Yes.
No super slow, you know, Oregon taking 2.5 minutes to clear the map. It seems like there's always something going on.
It's also coastline.
That's true. It's also just a coastline effect. But, oh, well, that's why I love coastline. The pacing from even then, there are a lot of teams who stall out on coastline when they lose a few initial engagements.
Yeah, that is true.
So far, no matter who gets the opening pick, it seems like there's always something going on, whether there's fights happening. And I guess this is also credit to Wichita Wolves because they're the ones on the attack. Wichita Wolves are always doing something on the attack. They're not stalling. They're hunting someone down, setting up angles, establishing positions and crossfires, pinching. You know, they're never just kind of standing still, chilling, bleeding the clock. So not only is that more entertaining, it gives us, you and I, Carter, things to actually talk about.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Instead of just trying to stall for time. So shout out to Wichita Wolves. Shout out to Surf for making this not just, you know, a coastline, but a very entertaining one. So Asian is now back on Aruni is Asian in both senses.
Yes.
And we're going back to Hookah, where Surf Esports had started things off very well with that downstairs realm. It was Ashen and Spiff duoing, one security, one office. But now Wichita Wolves are going to be ready. They're going to be like, all right, Spiff and security, Ashen and office, this mute, he's probably going to get aggressive. So Freak, the guy who they left down there to deal with the mute, will probably not get caught off guard by the random wide swing we saw.
I imagine that. But also, you mentioned how Wichita Wolves are always doing something. I feel like it was this round in particular that really exemplified that because they got Spiff, but they lost 2 guys to Ashen. Immediately, they weren't like, oh, crap, what do we do? And they didn't spend, 30 seconds to a minute, like, just trying to find a way to do it. They're like, all right, we need to make this happen. Let's find intel. Okay, there's a roamer that's by himself. Ambi's in VIP right now. Or not, sorry, Ambi's in theater right now. All right, let's go pinch him out. Let's try to make something happen. They didn't just sit there and then be like, okay, let's go find Ambi. They were like, all right, we have this intel. Let's act on it right now. Let's make something happen. So that was a good example.
It never looks like they're like, well,
Do we
what
attack
the hell
from
do we
Aqua?
do now?
Do we attack from 90?
Like, man, what do we? There's
I think-
yeah, that's
I
kind
think
of.
the
I guess that's
Snowball?
that's how I would put it. There's never a what do we, or there hasn't been a what do we do now moment for Wichita Wolves. It seems like even when they're at the disadvantage, they're like, all right, this is the next play. This is how we try and win the round. So again, huge ups to Wichita Wolves, and I wonder if that's again, Reed coming in and bringing a lot of that experience, both just in general at that level, but also as an IGL, and him on Dokkaebi too. It's definitely interesting. We have
Also-
Dokkaebi, Lion, and now Jackal from Forest.
That's what I was gonna
so all three of the once most hated operators in the game to try and play against.
Well,
Dude,
I do
remember old Lion? You had old Lion, Jackal, Dokkaebi combo?
No. Too far.
That was terrible.
Too far. I do like the rotation from the Jackal. One of the benefits of Coastline is that, if you see somebody dropping a Yana, you're like, ooh, removing the Yana for something? That's pretty risky. Here, you can make it work. And especially when you had players like Ambi playing off-site, Ashen playing off-site, Spiff playing off-site, really everyone except Reetsing, who all were provoking and providing problems for Wichita Wolves. Bringing that Jackal in combination with the Lion and the Dokkaebi can be very good at clearing these players out. So far, we see Freak take an opposite approach. He's pushed in to Penthouse and Theater instead of trying to take a fight on that office doorway. Hasn't found anybody yet. Maybe that's due to Wichita Wolves pushing them back, but that does mean they'll get some very important map control on the eastern side of the map very early on. Now Freak can work this angle.
Oh, and you say work this angle, but there's multiple he's got to worry about as Ambi swings out and just nabs, I believe, the shoulder of the Ash with a single bullet. I'd also be interested, if Surf win this game, to ask them why opt for the Chonka over the smoke on this side. But it'll be the first pick for Forest. Again, ready for that roam from Ashen. Not caught off guard. The Mute dead once again. He found a triple kill in round number 1, but only found one additional frag in the past 2. That leaves Asian and Spiff downstairs, and Ambi, the alibi on site, gets a nice frag onto Mohesi through the wall of VIP, it looks like.
Not sure.
Perhaps. If it was, beautiful shot. And now, not only is it even man count for these teams, but Forest, very low. He'll be fragged out by pretty much one bullet from any gun. I mean, maybe 2 from Asian or Ambi, depending on the range, but Spiff, it doesn't really matter. Spiff's just going to headshot him down anyway. And still, these anchors are getting aggressive. Spiff trying to come up for the flank over towards Luggage, attempting to kill Freak. That's going to distract Freak away from his setup in Aqua. Now dueling with Asian, the Aruni wins that fight. Ambi still on the site, wins his as well. And Reed Adams, he shoots Ambi in the back. Oh, and a headshot onto Spiff, but he's not long for this world. Cool. Asian makes sure that it does not spiral out of control. Surf take a 3-1 lead.
One thing I think was funny, I mentioned, I really like that adjustment by Forest to the Jackal in combination with the Lion and the Dokkaebi to try and really nail down, push back, or kill that off-site presence. Harrison, guess where Surf until the late round really weren't? They weren't really that much off-site, at least not inside of Penthouse and Theater, where Wichita Wolves were pushing. So maybe they were roaming a little bit more downstairs. I actually wasn't able to see that much in the round of whether they were, but if they were, which I do believe there might have been 1 or 2 people down there, based on how Wichita Wolves pushed, there wasn't really an opportunity to nail down those roamers because they were never really over there. And in fact, because Wichita Wolves placed so much of a focus on getting 90, getting Aqua, pushing from that eastern side of the map to then execute onto Hookah, it allowed for everyone on Surf too late in the round, rotate down through main lobby, come up those white stairs, and put pressure on the players in Aqua that we saw. And with Ambi still on the side as well, who's able to win his fight, you force Reed to push in at the last second, and really in large part, that's because you really accounted for some presence in Penthouse and Theater. It wasn't there, and you never accounted for the presence everywhere else.
And I also got to kind of question the decision from Wichita Wolves going for the 90 Hookah push, because I feel like that feeds directly into all these wild angles Surf have set up already. I feel like Aqua, well, maybe a little bit difficult in terms of the actual execute itself, I feel like
It's still common they're expecting it.
is a little bit safer.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to worry about these super long angles that Surf are holding all over the place into VIP, through and down into the 90 hallway. They got holes watching Hookah door, It's a lot to account for as the attack, but we're down on Kitchen now. Once again, Surf establishing a roam upstairs. This is the site. Now, Wichita Wolves have their 1 point on, so this is going to be mainly on Surf to try and adjust their play.
Wow. I was about to say, this is a freebie right here if they can manage to coordinate this properly, but Freak swings on in. Before, I thought we were going to see somebody above, maybe use some breach charges to open up the floor, get an angle onto Asian, but no. He just sends it on in, takes the fight, and ends up losing it. Now, Forrest has to play the waiting game as Asian goes for the swing. Oh, he looks away or moves his crosshair at the exact wrong time, and they do finally get that freebie. But it comes at the cost of Freak, your main entry, but thankfully they can also capitalize as Reed
Again.
on to Reed for the third time in the match. Are you kidding
Reed
me?
Adams onto Reed
Reed
Sink. We gotta keep. We keep dropping the distinction. We gotta keep that up. But
Sorry.
I think that goes to show too, with Asian slamming Freak and then dying to Forrest. The only time you never really get a freebie on Asian. The only time you ever get a freebie on Asian is when he's not looking at you. So, perfect example right there. Ashen is still up, and wow, speak of the devil. Goodbye, Bohees. Good night. Oh, he just narrowly sees the player on the window. I think that's actually Reed Adams darting away after shooting the alibi clone and sending out his last logic bomb call. And they know there's someone in Sunrise. Callout's left there to watch, and the rest of the attackers attempt to push into the site under the watchful eye of Ambi and Ashen. Both of those executors die, and now Callout's alone.
Oh.
He'll nab one onto Spiff. I guess the Jaeger not expecting him to creep around the bar, but you still got to find Ashen and Ambi who have shields in sight. And, well, Nomad's not really the best operator for dealing with that.
No, it is not. With that air jab, might be able to send one over, but a crossfire is always a difficult thing and usually requires some kind of a misplay from the defense. But sitting behind a shield and one behind the safety of a wall, I doubt we'll see that misplay, especially considering they have Diffuser. He will use his final air jab to make sure that bathroom door cannot be pushed through, and if a defender comes on through, he'll take them down. Spots the Oryx, but doesn't anticipate Ambi to swing directly across right like that. Does Rima dash into the air jab, but unfortunately for Callout, long after he can capitalize off of it. We'll say there, Harrison, maybe it was just because they didn't feel confident with the man count, but obviously they didn't clear out main lobby. They pushed directly into a crossfire. They're holding inside a kitchen. Ambi's still inside of main lobby. Maybe they could have sent Callout and instead had somebody play that main door if they really want to go for that, but I don't know. It was a difficult spot, but I do think if they did want to make that push, they probably needed someone, mainly Callout, to, instead of hitting Sunrise, sit at that main door and try and deal with Ambi.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm not quite sure what the decision was to leave one of your attackers watching a roamer in Sunrise, because if your play is to attack onto service, that Sunrise player isn't really going to be doing much, is he? There's really no way for him to affect the round unless he, hits the sprint or rotates back in time and maybe finds, that slim angle through the from the doorway, like through the shelf in kitchen, all the way down into the service door. But yeah, like you said, not having any pressure in lobby really did them in. Ashen gets one, Ambi gets the second, and bam. Round over. So Surf took the site that they were previously unable to, and that spells a lot of trouble for Wichita Wolves because, well, on Penthouse, Surf took this site too, despite losing the first pick.
It did require Reed to, again, we're not entirely sure if he killed the planter or the coverage, but either way, it did require him to potentially fight through some coverage to still get the planters, so they did make a call and, well, again, no pun intended, make a read on the situation on the site. They did not account for part of that read, in that it was Reed sync. They did not account for it. But we do need to see a bit of an adjustment from Surf in that a little bit more site presence throughout the round. I do believe we're seeing that, however, because we see Reed sync sitting on the site. Asian as well. Hopefully we don't see him give himself up to an easy angle through a rotate hole anymore. And if that's the case, maybe that round goes a lot differently. The bomb doesn't even come close to getting down, and they have to fight a little bit more to clear out both Reed sync and Asian from their positions inside of theater.
Now, I like the Flores pick from Mo. Obviously, reading into the fact that Surf have all this utility that's going to screw with the projectiles and protect the shields and such. So, Flores is a perfect operator to deal with not only that, but the Evil Eyes and the Castle Barricades as well. But the only problem is that, well, you only have 4 Flores drones. There's 4 Castle Barricades, 2 Evil Eyes, and 2 shields. There is a lot of utility for the attack to cut through. Now, luckily, they've got a Gone 6 on callout. They got Freak's Ash launcher. They got Reed Adams's 2 nades. So they've got enough. They just have to be very, very efficient with it. Now, they know there's a player on that white rappel. Forrest is going to take a little bit of damage. Ashen starts to rotate through, but Forrest has since left and is now nading from below, though the first nade will miss.
Second nade does find a little bit of damage, though. This one onto Reed. Still above half, so not terrible, but if he wants to go for a gunfight and deny the plant like he did previously, it's going to be more difficult. Ashen maybe preparing for a run out, or a jump out in this case, trying to find a kill on the players on big window, and this would be well timed as one pushes in. Call out going for the diffuser in the 5v5. Mohes will find one on the coverage inside of Hall of Fame. He starts rotating back out with the bomb successfully on the floor. There is no answer from Surf as they try their damnedest to have some kind of say in this round's outcome, but Spiff is the only one left with any words to speak. Finds a Gemini replicator coming in, but it's a pale image of Oliana currently sitting outside the building. Call out watching an angle inside the site. He rotates directly in front of it to end their attacking half. Wichita Wolves get a flawless round and end things up 2-4.
Yeah, Mohesi with the plant. That is the first plant we saw all map. Coming on the very final round of the attack. So well done, Wichita Wolves, for adjusting. The Flores pick definitely working wonders there, denying a lot of the utility and a lot of the info that Surf were relying on. And although Wichita Wolves didn't get an early opener, they did on the execute to open up that site. There were no C4s to answer back. Of course, Surf weren't bringing a smoke. There was nothing there either. And the plant was pretty much free. And a penthouse retake with all 5 attackers up, that's
difficult.
Pretty damn hard because, again, it's one of those sites where you can easily hold that case from outside without exposing yourself too much. So it ends up being a 4-2 half, but in the favor of Surf, who started on the defense. And, of course, we all know Coastline is a traditionally attacker-sided map. So what does this mean? Either this map is Surf-sided, or this map will just happen to be Defender-sided. I think this first round will be a good indicator of that, as Wichita Wolves look to hold hookah.
We'll see an immediate contrast with Surf in quite a few areas of their lineup. They still have that Ash and that Lion, but they have an inclusion of the Hibana and the Finka, which the Finka, of course, we've seen quite a bit recently, just in the overall meta on a wide variety of maps. Didn't see it much from Wichita Wolves. They only really ran the Lion. Now they're running the Lion and the Finka. We also see Reed go to that Hibana. We mentioned that during the ban phase, that sometimes because, well, before, there was only really one use for Hibana, and it was opening up part of that quad panel inside of Hookah. Now it's a little bit different. You obviously can still open that, but you can also open up the VIP wall if it's reinforced, but call out. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you're peeking right now?
He just peeked Spiff don't whiff.
And, well, sometimes he whiff. In that case, he don't.
He did not. Excellent shot.
He spiffed, I guess.
That's true. No, I just realized.
What?
3/5 of Surf are of Asian descent. Let's go. Represent.
You're right.
Asian, Ashen, and Spiff. Actually, I don't know about Reed Sync.
I don't know either.
Actually, don't know. Okay.
All right, Forrest. There's a guy there. Never mind. He was on drone.
Wow.
Unlucky.
That was a freebie. So Spiff, who just got a brilliant counter peek on the spawn, well, he's going to go down. Luckily for the attack, there were 2 refrags, and as Freak collects another, there's Asian with his second. So ends up being a 3v1. Reed Adams, with it all left to do, he'll win 1 against Asian. 1 versus 2, much more doable now, but look at the time. 2 minutes left for the attack to play. I can't believe it's only been a minute, and we already have 7 players in the lobby dead. And while Reed attempts a, oh my freaking god. As Reed Adams attempts a pre-fire, as he hits the reload, Reed Sync swings around to find the last kill. So we have Reed onto Reed for, I believe, the 4th time in this game, and Surf will take their first attack.
Reed with a good read onto Reed. Bars. Sorry. But that round was just a lot. So we had the first kill on a callout, goes for the spawn peek, gets shut down. Oldest trick in the book right there. Somebody was watching it. That's the oldest trick. If you weren't aware, just watch it. And then Forrest runs out, and I'm like, all right, it's fine, guys. Reed Sync is there for the coverage. Sure, Spiff is dead, but he's got this. Reed Sync has got this. Guys, don't worry. Reed Sync is... All right, he's back in. I guess he did. Oh, wait, never mind, because they were watching it. They had a dude rotate to the sunrise window, not only catches Forrest rotating back into the building, but also, I believe, Ambi... I don't know if Ambi was actually the one who got it. Ambi killed Forrest. There was somebody else who got a kill around the map. It was a pretty early 2v4.
It was over towards Kitchen and Service, I think. Because that's where Asian was fighting Freak for the refund.
Well, that actually works perfectly, because building off of that, there was a lot of aggression from Wichita Wolves, both with 2 players running out of the building, 2 players extending into Kitchen Service, but it was shut down pretty effectively by Surf. The most difficult was obviously the spawn peak, which is quickly traded, and in Kitchen Service as well, it was also traded, but it worked in their favor because they had the man advantage. So for Wichita Wolves, they try to get aggressive, but Surf did a really good job at shutting it down, whether it was inside or outside the building.
Yeah, it was well done from Surf. 5-2 now, a 3-round lead. I'm really hoping at some point one of the Reeds kills the other down towards like jungle.
Or we get
like
to
towards
Cafe,
grass.
and Reed kills Reed in Reading Room.
That too. Because I wanted to say, like, on coastline, right? If he gets killed by grass, then if Reed had a good read on Reed through the reeds. And then, you know,
That's a
on
weird
Cafe,
laugh. I don't know what just happened to me.
Reed had a good read on Reed who was reading.
Room.
Setting charge.
Lots of opportunity today.
Yeah. One opportunity that Surf Esports are clearly going for is the vertical play, because the site is kitchen, if you were not aware, and there are at least 2 defenders sitting up top, 2 down below on the site, a 5th in the wind, at least to my perception, that I cannot see, but I would imagine he's also in a position to rotate up to that top floor. Ambi on the white window right now, trying to cut down any possible rotation up the stairs, and we'll see if he's successful, because Forrest is doing that exact thing right now. He'll do more damage to Ambi than he deals back, because, well, Ambi deals no damage to Forrest, but he does waste a C4. Actually, if I do believe, the only one for the defense. So, good work, Ambi. Sure, you took some damage, but some powerful utility taken off the board.
Looks like the first target for Surf is Freak. Asian already moving through, taking some pre-fires, and, well, the Malusi kind of overexposes herself. So Freak will be the first death. And wow, Asian is going to keep the ball rolling. Down goes Mo soon after. Asian looking for more. Forrest on white stairs could be the next victim if he doesn't fall off. Here comes the swing, and again, Asian just doesn't need info. If he's looking at you, you're probably dead 95% of the time, and Sniff ducks just under the line of sight of call out. Reed Adams will get the first refrag for his team, make it 2, but he's not long for this world, even though Surf suffered a disconnect, I believe, in the middle of that round. I think it was on Surf.
No, actually.
No, it was on Wichita.
Wichita. Forrest got smoked so hard, Asian just blue screened his PC.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, luckily, right? Luckily, Wichita Wolves, that player was dead by the time he disconnected. But still, beautiful roam clear from, I was going to say beautiful roam clear from Surf. Beautiful roam clear from Asian. And then a good cleanup from his team as they just found Wichita Wolves kind of running around the map, all on their lonesomes. No refrag potential really at all, with the exception of those 2 guys in theater who both lost their fights.
Yeah. You had Ambi there watching the coverage as well, so it wasn't like Asian was just running in by himself, which, I mean, he was, I'd say 60% of that was just Asian just kind of barreling on through and winning his fights, but you did have Ambi on that window as well, who can not only watch the rotate on white stairs, but still apply some pressure if Asian loses this fight. As long as he pushes them back far enough, he's in Ambi's crosshairs. So while it was, of course, because he got the 3 kills, it was a big individual effort by Asian, it was still a good setup by Surf and Ambi as well on that white window to pinch them out. And now we are on match point, Harrison. 6-2 on Surf's map pick, which, to be fair, is exactly what you want to see. Starting out, I'm not too worried for Wichita going forward. I mean, I am a little bit because it's a 6-2, but still Surf's map pick. I imagine we'll see something good on Cafe, but for here, I don't know if the 4-2 comeback is on the cards, especially with how good Surf have looked in this game overall, and a good trend they've set on the attack, shutting down the aggression and the offside presence from Wichita.
Yeah, I see, like, Wichita Wolves, the 2 rounds they've won, I just did this, the 2 rounds they've won have looked pretty good.
I'd agree.
But they've really only looked that good in those 2 rounds. The others that Surf has won, especially on the defense so far, hasn't been promising. I am pretty hard-pressed to see the comeback, but hey, that little break may have been enough for Wichita Wolves to recollect themselves, talk it out, figure out what they need to do. I'm sure Reed Adams and Call Out were probably at the forefront of that discussion. But Surf are still looking mean. They're still looking nasty. And now you've got Ashen on the Finka, as he's been playing.
I think any adjustments, actually. I think it's all the same 5.
They gotta attack Hookah. They did it pretty successfully last time.
One thing as well, I know you say that Wichita haven't looked particularly convincing or like they put up much of a fight in the rounds they've lost, but it's also not, they're not doing anything objectionable. We're not watching it like, oh my god, what a massive throw. Yeah, no, they're not trolling. There's certainly things they can improve on. For, of course, that round in particular, the offside presence seemed like it was just really relegated to 3 people all sitting on top of white stairs in theater. Sure, that's okay. You know, everyone's pushing from that side, but it was really just kind of easy for Surf to pinch them out since all of the offside presence was basically in a bottleneck. So you can make that happen, but it's not like they've been doing anything terribly. Surf have just been playing and covering all their bases very well. We see some more early aggression by Forest. Is it being read into?
Ooh.
This time, it might have been, but it looked like more of a reaction from Reed Sync that cost him most of his HP.
Yeah, I think a good way to put this match so far is that it's not about Wichita Wolves looking worse, it's about Surf just looking better. So, kind of put it testament to both their skill levels in that little quip. And Reed Sync, although lit up, he's a hard breacher, so he's still going to be able to affect the round, at least indirectly by using his breach on the VIP wall. But Ambi will be cut down to begin this round. Freak with the first frag. Now because you're Lion, a very powerful operator on this map, but in comes Asian, red dot in hand. He takes out Mohesi, but not before Reed Adams is found by Ashen on the Finca. So what was a one-man advantage has now been, well, equalized as Freak finds at Asian, but overextends just a little bit. Attempting to get back to the site, Spiff has already established his position in VIP, and Callout is challenging Aqua. And all of a sudden, it's a 1v3 for Forest.
Nade sails right at his feet. Actually doesn't kill him miraculously. In fact, I think also opens the hatch, so might give him a little bit of an escape in case he gets pushed. But right now, the problem is it's a 1v3. He's stuck inside of Hookah. A minute and a half, the attack has so much at their disposal to work with. Forrest will smoke Spiff, so that one's taken down. And now all he has to do is kill Ashen on the coverage and maybe then transition onto Reed. But Ashen has a nice angle watching the bomb chassis. But the bomb planted, he can certainly land the pre-fire. But no, the team kill. Certainly, this is not how you lose match point. Ashen with the spray, Reed peeks directly into it. And now Forrest, he's not necessarily in the driver's seat, but it's looking a lot better. He's now both players on low HP, but Ashen still finishes him off. A bit too close for comfort, but still a win in the end. 7-2 for Surf on their own map.
That was almost really scary as Reed Sync got clapped from behind. Good job, Ashen. You didn't let it slip out of your hands, and well, I guess common theme, right? On the very last round of Wichita Wolves attack, they had a plant, and on the very last round of the match, Surf had their plant. 7-2. Surf really looking, not completely, but mostly in control for the map. I mean, you could definitely tell they picked it. It fits right in with their playstyle. And although Wichita Wolves, they were fighting back, it wasn't consistent enough to really be a confident factor.
I would certainly say so as well. But that is map 1 over. 7-2 on Coastline for Surf on their own map pick. Before we head to a break, I want to thank our give a quick thanks to one of our sponsors, Mike and Ike. Because I imagine, Harrison, I think that that clear from Asian, that 3K, might be a good contender for our Mike and Ike sweet play of the day later
powered
on.
by the red ones.
I suppose. Is it the red dot? Is that what you're joking about?
Yeah. And the bloodlust.
Well, I suppose that's one way of putting it. But thank you, as always, to Mike and Ike's, the fruity, chewy flavors, either the Mega Mix or the original. I don't know. Harrison, do you like Mike and Ike's? Do you have a preference for either one?
I actually haven't had the Mega Mix.
Oh. I have a box over there. We showed it. It's a little bit old, so I'm probably actually going to go out to the store and get myself some new ones to use as props. I've had that box for a while. I learned this when I took theater for not tech ed, but like, I don't know, the thing where you work backstage. I learned not to waste a good prop. And that's why I still have those Mike and Ike's boxes. But thank you, as always, to Mike and Ike's for being a great friend of the show. And hopefully, I think, we have the sweet play at the end of the show, and Asian might be there. But until then, we have at least 1, maybe 2 more maps to go through. So until then, we'll see you in just a little bit, right after this break.
Hey, I play for Envy. Okay, hold on. Hey, I go by Envy, and I play for Surf ESPORTS. We will do very good against every CL team in there. We are very confident. And I think the weaknesses is that they're not very used to T3, like people being like aggro, you say. So yeah, that's about it. They're probably more structured, have more time together, and especially us, because we went through quals with no scrims with me, and we still went 12-0. But like these teams have been together for a while, so yeah. Probably just more droning. I'm on a roll that I'm not used to right now, so I gotta get used to that for SCS, and I think we'll be good. One team I really want to beat during SCS is Mystic. They're not in our group, but we can play them in playoffs probably. Show them that we are the better T3 team. If I face Bolo on a LAN event, I might start freaking out. I'm gonna be honest, but yeah, that's probably TSM. That team, I face Bolo. Oh my god. Say Spiff or Reed, because we have Asian and Ashen who just run and kill them. Mainly just Reed. Spiff does good too. Reed's our support player. He doesn't get talked about too much, but he's holding down the fort for us. It'd be very impactful. Get our name out there. The prize pool is super big. Get the T3 names up. More exposure. It's chocolate. If you don't like chocolate, then you're just weird. All right, next question. In real life, some people would call me JJ, not the JJ Blastful. And I actually hate that name. No one calls me JJ, so that's a good thing. I don't hate it because of JJ Blastful, by the way. Oh, should we cut that out? Should we cut that out? Oh no. Ooh. Oh, I'll keep it in. I'll keep it in. Depends on the weather. If it's hot, then I'll go outside. If it's cold, like right now, then it's not too good. Not too good. I usually just watch a movie of some sort, or just not play Siege, help me relax. That's always a good one, just to not do anything.
Was a tournament during the season of snow, filled with contenders of might, with names Deez, Ligma, and Joe. The road was a trying one, wrists aching with cramps. In the end, victors rose. We called them Winter Champs. Before they departed, they left us these words: our journey's just begun. All thanks to the nerds.
Make that a 1v2. 2 seconds left. It's gonna come down.
Favor making a third as he looks up. Fake it up. Finds the draw. Three. Stunning here from
Welcome back, everybody, and we're about to get underway with map number 2 between Wichita Wolves and Surf Esports. I am Lynx, joined by Harrison Crow Broder.
Hey.
We had a pretty solid map number 1 coming out from Surf. Harrison, 7-2 to
Yes.
start out, looking good.
Dominant, but it was not too one-sided to not be fun, though. It did look like Surf were pretty in control of most of that map, and again, you know, we keep saying it fits right into their playstyle. Wichita Wolves, who are typically a little more methodical, really caught off guard by the unwarranted and unbridled aggression brought out from the members of Surf. And you know, no matter what happened, I think it was just the gun skill from Surf that we could always reasonably rely upon to help them win those rounds. I mean, several times we saw people like, again, like Asian on his roam clear. I believe it was round 8. Yeah, this round where he just kind of walked in, killed the guy theater, no info. Well, maybe, you know, some info that there was a guy near White Stairs, but not exactly where. Still took the fight, won it anyway. And if we want to pull up the stats, of course, it's going to be Ashen. In fact, our player of the map, 9-4. There's a 2.25 KD for those of you who can't do division, but Asian not far behind, 10-8, 89% cost as your primary entry. Wonderful stuff from those two. I mean, just everyone on the roster above a 1.0 except for ReedSync, who, I mean, he was playing Hibana and Tachanka and is still only -1.
It's excusable.
78% cost, 0.99 rating. I mean, we'll give him the 1.0.
I mean, if you recall, ReedSync sure might be the lowest rated, but his kill onto, was it Mohes on the very first penthouse defense probably single-handedly won that round for Surf Esports in that map. So everyone had their big moment. Obviously, Ashen starting out, Reed had his moment, Asian had a nice moment, Ambi, of course, a little bit understated, but it's flank watch, happens to the best of us. Everyone on Surf did a very good job. It's still positive, exactly. For Wichita Wolves as well, as you said, sure, it was a 7-2. Sure, some people will say one-sided. But not only was it still entertaining, it was one where going into map number 2, I'm not worried about Wichita Wolves' ability to keep it close. It's not like they didn't put up a fight here. They certainly did. It's just Surf bested them in many aspects.
I think a really good sign is the fact that their lowest rated player, in the KD department at least, was -3.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not
pretty good for 7-2.
That's not terrible at all. Yeah, for losing 7-2, Mohes was what, 5-8? I mean, that's not terrible. Like, that's still pretty damn close. And I mean, the kills were pretty even across the board. Well, really for both teams.
Yeah.
In general. So, Coastline, definitely satisfied with that map. That was a good one. Now we move on to Cafe, where this is now probably leaning a little bit more towards Wichita Wolves. They brought it out several times in Challenger League, won almost every single time. I know they lost it to PB. Maybe we all remember that game and what Kool-Aid was saying in chat, but Cafe, I think I'm definitely leaning towards the CL team for this one. And I think, again, we talked about it towards the beginning of this series, and I'll say it again. I think out of all the games we've seen so far, this one is probably the most likely to see 3 maps.
Yeah, I agree certainly as well. What we saw a lot on Coastline was Surf, of course, clearing out the offsite presence from Wichita Wolves very effectively. But on a site like Cafe, you're not going to have that kind of loose aggression you have on Coastline. It's going to be a lot more focused on holding positions like, say, Pixel, or behind the Humidor on Cocktail. If you want a castle barricade, put in a Rooney Gate on that double door, have someone play behind it with a shotgun. It's positions that you can't just clear out by pinching. You're going to need to dump some utility into there, and that's going to add another layer and another dimension that I'm sure Surf are capable of dealing with. The one that Wichita Wolves on their own map pick might be a little bit more experienced in, and one thing we need to see from Surf, of course, when you go 12-0 in quals, I imagine they've had to do it, but against a CL caliber team who's been performing very well, and with this roster change appears to be starting off on the right foot, could be a different story. And I imagine both in gameplay and likely the round count at the end, this one's going to be a lot closer, even if it does happen to be a 2-0.
Yeah, I'm excited for Cafe, because what we saw, again, we mentioned it, Surf was really just aggression. Now we get to see how organized Surf really are. We know they can play together to secure frags.
Certainly,
can they play
no
together to clear utility? That's a lot of what Cafe comes down to. Very good shield positions, ADSs, Rooney gates, Maya discs, all that. Well, I was going to say all that good stuff, but that stuff kind of sucks, especially if you're an attacker, which Surf have actually opted to start as. Remember, this is Wichita Wolves map pick, so Surf get the starting side. They want to start attack. I have not seen a team that prefers attacking Cafe in a little bit. The last one being Penguin's team. Penguin's teams always love attacking Cafe. So I wonder if Surf are going to employ a similar strategy where, yes, they still play fast, but again, their coordination is what, helps them prevail, and their utility clear is just as quick as their normal map clear.
I think it might be a good sign that their attacks are going to be something nice to look at. That will be very good utility clearing coordination. But to use PB as an example, we saw them start out defense on Coastline against Aerial Arise, and a critique after was that maybe that wasn't the right decision in the long run based on how that game turned out. So we'll see if it is a blessing or a curse for Surf as we get into the ban phase. And before we get into the map, first ban up is Wichita, and they take out the Zofia a second time in a row. But Harrison, sure, you might be taking away one of Ashen's ops, and on Cafe, some good utility as well. But Finka, not only did he seem comfortable, still provides a lot of the same utility.
Yeah, Finka, I mean, not only provides some of the same utility, she's got technically more destructive power because nades plus on 6, and is also, again, that universal operator. So in terms of your team play as a whole, Finka is actually a little bit better. You don't need to be with the team to affect them. You give everyone HP boost. You can revive people from the distance. You give them that increased ADS speed and that increased confidence to go for those fights. So again, banning Zoe, I mean, you take away the 150, but I don't know. Thatcher and Mira are the next 2 bans, with Wichita Wolves finishing off with Wamai. Okay, so maybe with, Cafe leaning more into the shields than Coastline do, Wichita Wolves want to counterban, want to target ban the Zoe on Ashen, but aren't comfortable leaving all of the projectile denial up with that Zoe ban.
That is one thing I'm a little surprised, though. Maybe it's just, accounting for once Surf get to their defenses. Of course, it is likely the more favored side. They don't want to give all those tools at their disposal. But with the Zoban, it is theoretically maybe a little bit more difficult. Say you're clearing out Pixel. You have to angle those flashes a little bit better if you don't want to use, say, a Gone 6 to clear those ADSs. it is a little bit more difficult. You don't have the exact straight shot as the lifeline, so it's not a. I'm not surprised by that ban because it's uncommon. In fact, Wamai is a very sensible ban, and likely the reason they did is to take a tool out of Surf's arsenal once they switched to the defense. But I don't know. I would have expected something a little bit different, at least for here going out. We also see a 6 pick from the Finka to the IQ, and immediately I was like, oh, this is weird. Not sure if I like that, but it is because Forrest is currently running that Valkyrie, and on any map, but in Cafe in particular, but then again, like many maps, those Valkyrie cams can be extremely difficult to find. Cafe, of course, it is, as Harrison has eloquently put it in the past, a big box. But sometimes you can put these cams in corners or in positions tucked away that are sometimes difficult to find, that without an IQ on the board, could take you a lot to just find by hand manually.
Yeah, it's very powerful operator. I mean, really on every map, but again, Cafe especially because of the big box effect and also because of just how much C4 potential there is on this map. I mean, you look at this top floor, almost the entirety of Piano, the entirety of the bar site, the entirety of the cocktail site. That is heaven. New Balk. It's all destructible from below. So those Valkyrie cameras are huge when it comes to that kind of play. IQ pick, definitely sensible from Ashen. Plus, I mean, Ashen on the G8, I would be shaking in my boots. I'd be quaking if I had to go up against that. And I think a lot of this match, Carter, is going to be down probably to who can utilize and play off of this Valkyrie better. We know Surf can be an incredible Valk team, as we see Ashen is actually running the Commando. Surf can be an incredible Valk team because of how good their comms are, their coordination in general, and again, that fragging potential is only increased with the added info. Can Wichita Wolves match that with the Valkyrie of their own?
We already saw some aggression come out from, remember, Wichita Wolves. The Aruni tears down that castle barricade, destroys the breach charge, but doesn't actually find anything because of it. But right now we see Mohes getting aggressive, running out, will be spotted, and unfortunately, despite the fact there were 3 players, or 2 players on that rappel specifically, but 3 players on rappel total, not able to get even a single lick of damage, and even loses his life. Ashen downstairs, maybe not read into Mohes's run out exactly, but waiting for some play down on white stairs to cover Asian on that rappel, finds him rotating back, and that's the first pick going the way of Surf.
Yeah, down goes your Jaeger, but luckily Jaeger is, his job's already done. Now, good utility clear from Surf Esports on the castle barricade covering Cigar Double. No Raffy moments here. They will very efficiently deny call out that piece of coverage. He'll be cowering behind J-Desk now, making sure that he's not going to overexpose himself to the player on the windows. There was someone in Piano with him to try and aid, but Freak has since backed off into bathroom, knowing that if he continues challenging those windows, Surf will probably take advantage of that. And wow, okay, literally like 3 people drop, and Mo, he's going to get destroyed. Sorry, not Mo. I don't even remember who the first player was. I was caught off guard. I was so caught off guard that I called out the dead guy's name.
Well, it was 3 very nice kills for Ashen right there, but the Runegate reactivated. Never mind. Ambi just smoked Freak off of the face of the earth. No Runegate necessary. Forrest now trapped inside a freezer. Right. He's in a hell in a cell. He's put on a t-shirt, in a blender, all whatever you want to say. He got put in it. And Surf will put their first round on the board.
So, Carter. Carter. Remember when we talked about Cafe being a real test of Surf's cohesion, because we know that they can frag together. Can they clear utility together? That was the big question.
We know that friends who frag together win together, but is the same for friends who util clear together?
And, well, in that round, not only was Mohes, did Mo get destroyed by Ashen in the beginning of the round, but when we transitioned to the Piano clear, I mean, Surf were on top of it.
Everyone
there was
died.
not a single missed step. And then once they took out that castle barricade, once they forced Freak out of Piano, what did they do? They friggin' triple drop Red Hatch.
As one does.
Smoke call
As you
out,
do.
prone behind J-Desk. And Ashen, just for good measure, peeks down long bar and kills Reed Adams, I believe it was.
Ambi also. Very nice shot onto Freak as well. Just to add insult to injury.
That too. That was incredible. So Surf Esports turning a brilliant utility clear into some of the best shots we've seen this series so
into
far.
Coastline 2.0.
Yeah. So, maybe Wichita Wolves do have something to be afraid of on one of their best maps.
5 seconds to go.
Next side up, as we can see, we're going to Kitchen. Harrison, look at this. We got a Capkin on the board. This is a strat you and I are very familiar with.
Duck Cap can.
Duck Cap can kitchen roam, as
Key
you'll see.
Gap can. His
Currently
penguin's
right
first
now-
name is Keegan.
That is true. Currently right now, very heavy extension into Bakery and Small Bacon. Look at that. Normally that aggression has been countered by Spiff himself, in fact, on Coastline. But this go around, unfortunately, despite a drone being at the window Forrest peeked out of, he still caught the sledge off guard, and you're losing your sledge on a kitchen attack. Ooh, that is problematic, though there are plenty of breach charges in the arsenal for Surf Esports, so that vertical destruction not out of the woods, or not out of the realm of possibility yet, and it hasn't really stopped them all that much. Not only did Ashen get a kill, they seem undaunted, not at all afraid. Asian just peeks down the bar, finds Forrest. They're primed and ready to take coat check control away from them and are forcing Callout and Freak to rotate back to the site, as in fact, there's nobody in there right now. Reed is the only one even remotely close by, and he's stuck inside a bakery. If they wanted to, they could start pushing on in, as Freak is ticked lower and lower down in terms of his HP. A yokai rotates over to supplement that loss of health with a gain in utility. Freak even, maybe because of that fact and because of the intel, lands some shots on the Reed, and now we're even.
ReedSync also drops Case right in front of the Malusi, and Callout, I don't know if that was a flank or what, destroys Ashen with the headshot. Now it's Ambi and Asian. 2 versus 3, but what they have going for them is time and HP. Now, Ambi knows Callout is upstairs. He'll be on the hunt. He only needs to land one body into the one shot into the body of the cap can as Callout tries more distractionary measures, throwing an impact out. Ambi nearly ready for the flank from Freak. Can't catch the Malusi, but Asian's there to save the day. Callout dead. We equalize the man count. There's still no case control. It's still dropped in the red hallway. But honestly, I don't think Surf are going to be going for that. They know that they
highly
have
doubtful.
the HP advantage. They want these frags. They've still got a minute, but the time is ticking. Ambi now jumping out the window, probably going to establish himself over towards lobby, I would imagine, or the restaurant window, looking to pinch with Asian as Freak takes that engagement, or is looking to. Again, on only 1 HP, he'll hide inside of coat check with Ambi attempting to force his way in, and Asian coming down brown stairs.
Ooh, Asian exposing himself just a little bit as one rotates across, but he finds Reed right at the right time and picks up the final kill on to Freak. A quad for Asian in that round. And a little bit worrying. Forrest gets the first kill on to Spiff. The sledge, this might set Surf back in terms of the momentum. But did they skip a beat? Did they skip a step? No. In fact, they expedited the process, thanks to Asian especially.
Yeah, I mean, the wherewithal from Surf to just play off their guns, and the initial damage on those players from Wichita Wolves. So I think something that we can't fail to mention is Wichita Wolves' own aggression coming back to haunt them. They kept kind of poke and prod at the members of Surf because obviously, they lost their sledge and Surf immediately transitioned to a horizontal push. So Wichita Wolves, knowing this, kind of poke and prod at this attack. Freak peeks out, tries to fire a couple shots, gets lit up, slinks back. Callout upstairs. He tries taking a couple shots. He gets lit up, slinks back. And so these defenders start pulling back more and more on such low HP. Sure, Freak and Callout get a kill apiece, but in the end, Asian and Ambi, they're full. They don't get ahead of themselves, and they are oh so patient. They trap Callout upstairs. They separate. They have the info. I mean, Asian knew exactly where that echo was. They were maybe a little bit starved for intel on Freak, but once Ambi concluded that, Freak was in coat check, not playing near the window, Asian figured, hey, I just killed this guy. If he was last seen coat check, he'll probably be going for the refrag. So good game sense from Asian at the end. And Ambi, despite not getting a kill, was still instrumental in the clutch. Remember, we always talk about shadow pressure. You don't necessarily have to be shooting at someone to apply pressure, and Ambi just kind of helped corral those last couple defenders into Asian's line of sight.
That shadow pressure that we've seen Ambi do on map 1 and now on map 2 as well, though a little bit of a difference between the two, is going to be very useful for clearing out top floor on a site like Reading. Big thing that'll happen here, we'll likely see Asian, maybe Ashen, I'm just guessing those two, could be two different people, but definitely Asian. We'll start pushing up that long bar over towards the defenders on Cocktail Balcony, try and clear out that position and allow for the vertical later on in the round. Ambi, in all likelihood, will continue with that pattern of shadow pressure. Maybe he'll move to Skylight, maybe he'll move to the Cocktail Rappel, but right now instead, is I'm actually maybe incorrect because we see some players drop red, but right now Ashen spots that Train is free, and as he's searching also for some Valkyrie cams and what have you, he's acquired a very useful bit of sight control to deny positions later on, but Asian, who I thought would be the tip of the spear for Surf, is in fact the first to fall on the sword for Surf's attack.
Well done to Freak, cutting down the savior of the previous round, but Ashen is already towards Fireplace.
What a
Jaeger
nice
might
angle.
peek into him, but he's got a very nice angle. He'll light up and finish off Freak. So, although late, the trade comes, and now Call Out, who had darted down the stairs previously, is like, oh,
Can't do that
Huh.
anymore.
oh crap. Now, Ashen's not peeking aggressively anymore. You know, he got his pick, and he knows that if someone pre-fires him, that's a very exposed position. But still, it's a kill nonetheless that forces the Jaeger to rotate back. But although Surf have the 1-for-1, what they don't have is the top floor control. They're still kind of struggling to move past Piano, but it seems like they're completely abandoning that entire train of thought as 3 people now rotate to the second floor.
One benefit right now, you see Will Reed peeks
Okay.
directly at Ashen. Maybe a
had
bit of
full
a
info.
Yeah, exactly. Bit of a misplay right there. Not only did they have full info, but Callout was also working his way up brown stairs. Maybe they could have worked out a double swing right there, but maybe Reed gets a bit ahead of himself. But more importantly, that means this is a 4v2 on the site. Callout's on brown stairs, and if they're able to watch that position, which they can anticipate that. One right at the train door, starts swinging out, picks up the frag. Ashen with all 3 so far. Mohes and Forrest all pushed to the back line. Forrest, in fact, still up top. That means the only thing you have to deny this plant right now is Mohes with only 1 toxic canister with 35 seconds remaining. Ashen's already pushed on in. Mohes just didn't read that whatsoever. Despite Forrest's vertical control, he's not able to spot the IQ pushing in. He will spot Spiff moving in soon after, but it's already a moment too late. He has opened up a hole, maybe could spot Ashen's feet, but no, he can't. We're in ace territory right now. 1 HP as Forrest keeps contesting this holes. I know, I want the ace too. And maybe it'll present itself. Post-plant. Ambi and Reed maybe pushing back. Ashen pushing for the frag. And 1 HP. No. Reed sinks stakes, takes it. Boo! Don't like a team player. Don't like you finishing out the round. Let Ashen get his frag. I'm, of course, just kidding. But that was a great round from Ashen. And overall, a very well-executed round by Surf, though aided by some mistakes by Wichita.
You know what's even more tragic?
What?
As Reed Sync peeked around the white rotate, Ashen was literally like walking out of laundry and shooting.
Yeah. Also,
I am
especially that
so sad right now.
Also, you know what else is sad? Forrest literally had an angle watching the doorway Ashen killed the smoke from.
Yes, he did. Really unfortunate. But
Unlucky.
he was just kind of distracted with literally everything else going
Yeah,
on.
it was a 2v4. I get it. There was a lot on his mind.
Yeah, Forrest, he had a lot on his plate. You know, as one does. So, Surf Esports, collectively as a team, the round was good. It was okay. Wasn't nothing to write home about. But Ashen, as an individual, getting 4 kills was certainly a huge part of that. I mean, creeping his way into Fireplace, getting the first kill on top white, then rotating around, despite full info on him, still winning his one against Reed Adams,
10 seconds to
and all around being a star player for Surf. And I mean, you know, the entire team acted off of it very well. I mean, you know, we talk about Ashen getting those picks, but the mid-round adjustment from Surf was also very well played, right? Because they were initially taking top floor, but as soon as Ashen got a pick on the site, really, and got that Valkyrie, they rotated down and they were like, hey, these guys are stuck upstairs. There's so little manpower on the site. Let's all rotate. They put 3 people in pillar. Ashen kind of just crouch walks into reading. But something that we didn't talk about is all the while, Ambi is still in Cigar, making sure that no one on the defense is going to be able to flank his team. So I love the mid-round adaptation from Surf. That was a great IGL call from whoever made it. And the pulse pick could definitely be good. But again, you know, we got to worry about this IQ. Reed Adams could potentially fall victim to that scanner if Ashen is diligent enough.
Don't see him on it just yet. Instead, we see Spiff currently opening up these hatches. Ashen currently on Repel, so not really in a position to counter the pulse, but do see some attackers already moving into those red stairs. If they're not careful, Reed could very easily get a C4 the moment anybody on the attack steps through that wall, but Asian's likely waiting for that call, because there's somebody below him, 2 people in front of him, actually, well, technically 2 people below him, but callout's on the stairs. Meanwhile, Pulse is inside, but it's Ashen who does get the first pick, but not onto the Pulse, like we thought he might have. Instead, it's onto Freak, one of the players roaming around inside of Christmas. Reed has another bit of intel on the player. He jumps out of the red window, excuse me, and Reed Adams gets the kill onto Reed Sync for the 18th billionth time. But Ambi's still there to shut him down, catch him on the rotate back. And sure, you lose your Hibana. That sucks, but for reading, the most important thing is the soft destruction, and now you've lost your Pulse.
More read-on-read violence on reading.
Not in reading room, though.
Not in, but it's the site being played as Spiff is the next to fall. Mo, I believe, on the flank, cutting down 1 and 2. Beautiful shot with the pistol on Asian, shutting down the Ash, leaving it on Ashen and Ambi. Now the IQ is going to be taking some shots, looks up, but no, he can't land the frag, and Ambi? How did Ambi fall off the roof?
He's
confused about it as well, so I wonder if maybe it was a glitch?
Maybe Ambi will give us an explanation.
I think Lamau Bro is all we're going to get.
No, I'll take it. I'll take it.
At the very least, we know that it was confusing and probably a glitch.
We're getting a conversation in chat. Hopefully we'll find an answer momentarily, but I rappelled up to the roof. Unlucky. GG, go next.
That's unfortunate. Also,
But at
Ashen's
least
off IQ now.
He's off IQ. They did not run the Valkyrie last round. They are not running it this round either, so likely just rotating for more of those nades because while IQ does provide a very good counter to Echo or Valkyrie, not so much in any other area, really. Kind of outclassed by most other operators when it comes to utility. But overall, just to talk about that round, I mean, we saw Wichita Wolves getting aggressive, and for once, despite Ashen's early kill, mostly thanks to a flank by Mohes, but thanks to Surf not able to gain as much ground as they did before. The top floor clear would sometimes wobble, but always seemed to find sure footing, and aided by Mohes making it rotate later in the round, ended up working out perfectly. Now, moving on to Kitchen, we don't see much intel, actually, for Wichita Wolves. No Yokais, no Echo, no Valkyrie. Of course, Surf aren't running that IQ. Maybe they were a bit nervous that Ashen would run that IQ. But it is always going to be a little bit of concern that they have a lot of options for intel at their disposal, but nothing's really presenting itself. It's all mostly indirect, like, say, Goo Mines or Banshees.
Yeah, Surf, uncharacteristically struggling to gain ground last round. We're back on Kitchen, and we remember, though, this was a clutch by Asian and Ambi. And I always say this, but you cannot rely on a clutch as your winning strategy. Something's gotta change. You should be happy you won the round, not happy by the process in which it happened. So Surf looking to clear top down once again. It'll be Asian following the drones of Ambi and I believe Reed Sync. They'll spot out Mo playing over towards Nubal because he gets aggressive, looking like he wants to peek into top red, nearly landing damage. He wants this fight against Ashen, but Ashen gets crossfire. There's a player inside a piano, but because of the new Finka change, he can res himself. So there is no kill, and he'll heal himself and Asian back up as the roamers start to fall off.
It was obviously very risky by Mohes, but overall very good coordination between him and Callout. Mohes doing literally everything to keep the attention of the attackers on him, while Callout, who had not been cleared and wasn't facing much direct pressure as he was rotating up white into Christmas, is able to put a lot of damage onto Ashen and Asian, but now he's facing some more pressure and is forced to rotate even further back. For a minute 30 has now elapsed in the round so far, and while Callout is continuing to get aggressive, this actually might be a bit of a risk, especially considering how close the attackers are to pushing him. He does have Reed there, but he gives himself up. Callout finds one, but again, maybe overstays his welcome. Freak's now there to try and pick up a trade, but he's also now heavily committing to a second floor roam that's starting to get fairly late in the round, though he does peek out and will find Asian, especially due to the distraction he faced as Freak took down one of his teammates, or actually, I believe Mohes took down one of his teammates who wasn't quite sure where the other people were pushing from. Mohes is providing a very easy distraction for Ampi to get caught away with inside of Train. Him and Reed Sync, the only two left. One peeking his position. Reed will flash it out. That might get Mohes. No, it does not. Tries to peek around, playing a ring around the Rosie. He has to switch to the pistol. Still does a fair bit of damage before he's finished off. And same with Ambi. It's a 2v2, but definitely favoring the Wolves.
And Wichita Wolves can play back on the site. Only 40 seconds that they need to delay against a Nomad and a Hibana. Not a lot of useful utility for the site execute, if I do say so myself. Emby still has an air jab to his name that maybe they could, try to air jab the guy behind the shield, use the air jab to clear a position. I'm not so sure. So Forrest, he aggressively swings onto the window. The flash will facilitate the drop from ReedSync, looking for the angle, but Forrest isn't given to it. Freak gets one, and although there's a refrag, Forrest makes sure that his team still comes away with the round, and 3-2 now.
I was a little bit worried for Wichita Wolves throughout that round, but the strategy they appeared to be going for was just continuously creating chaos around Surf, so much so that they just struggled to keep up with everything Wichita Wolves were throwing at them. It started out with Mohes creating a distraction inside of Cocktail, taking the attention of Ashen and everyone else entering the building, putting it onto him so that Callout could push up, and he does down Ashen, but he's only down, he picks back up, and then Callout and Mohes both rotate off. They keep holding the second floor. They've wasted a minute and a half, and I'm saying, just abiding by normal wisdom, like, okay, now is the point you should start rotating back. Maybe get a drone, but then quickly rotate off. But no, not only does Callout and Mohes stay there, Reed actually joins the fray to help out. I'm starting to get worried, especially once Reed falls. But Callout's there to play for the trade, and Freak rotates back up in all of this chaos, and it evens out to a 3v3. Surfer heavily focused on trying to clear out Mo. That allows Freak to gain some more inroads top floor, where he eventually retakes, then rotates back down to play on the hatch. So overall, for Wichita Wolves, it was very risky. There were plenty of opportunities. If one gunfight goes against them, that entire round collapses, but it kept Surf's head spinning, and that was enough to sow that confusion and take the round as a result.
Yeah, confusion is the name of the game, like you said, for Wichita Wolves. It seems like every time someone on Wichita Wolves pushes out against the attack to take a fight, Surf Esports get kind of tunnel visioned. And that's when another member strikes. You know, perfect example is when you were talking about, who was it? Freak trying to attack them from the cigar side of things, backing off, and then having, Callout double up with him in piano, because Surf were so hell-bent on taking out Freak that they completely forgot that there are other angles that exist. So the winning formula for Wichita Wolves in the last 2 rounds. But now, Carter, we find ourselves on mining
And dining.
Mining and dining. An unconventional site, to say the least. I'll see if Surf have enough aptitude on this map to actually attack the offsite.
They're starting out very normally, trying to move into Christmas. One thing that I'm actually surprised by, Harrison, the hatch is closed. It is full reinforced. Freak is still playing there, but normally what we'll see is sometimes that hatch open, not only to allow for a rotate, but also to allow for an angle if they end up pushing, or if the attackers end up pushing inside a train. But here it's nice, because not only do they have to push out Freak, they also have to use some hard-breaching utility. A little bit more difficult to push in now that you've lost your star entry so far in this map. And with that Valkyrie on the board, losing that IQ scanner is going to be brutal to deal with to find those Valkyries. Freak somehow, miraculously, transfers onto 1 onto 3! Massive play by the Malusi. Can he get the 5th? He cannot. He's down on the floor, but oh my lord, he's already done more than enough to put this round and even the score for Wichita Wolves.
Wow, Freak is firing on all cylinders. 4 kills. Trash talk coming out in chat now. I mean, those 3 were just one after another. They seem to gift themselves to him. ReedSync, well, he doesn't even know about that guy on Heaven. He'll have to win the fight against the Capcan if he wants any hope in this round. He'll do so successfully, but there's a C4 with his name on it. And Wichita Wolves tie up the half. They lose 3 in a row. They win 3 in a row. But leading into the new half, moving on their attack, the momentum is in the Wolves' corner.
I had a whole segment like, oh, Harrison, oh my god, 2 minutes left. They're already down to 5 drones. This is getting kind of scary. They're being a little bit reckless. And then Freak just killed everybody, so it didn't really matter. So that's a beautiful
Freak killed
transfer,
everyone
3 to 4.
because they only had 5 drones, and not enough of them were droning out Freak.
I suppose that's one way of putting it. 3-3 half for Wichita, especially after how this game started. Very good. Obviously, the taking a pause, just kind of collecting themselves, able to come back. Obviously, that round wasn't so much strategy; it was more so just Freak going nuclear and maybe some misplays by Surf. I mean, obviously, that really doesn't happen unless there's some misplays. The 3-3 half, honestly, Harrison, again, after that started out, I'm feeling pretty good if I'm Wichita going into my attacks. Because obviously, sure, defense, better side. But this is their map pick. They've prepped quite a bit for the attack, and likely, especially since they left the Valkyrie up, They have some plans to deal with the likely aggression that will come forth because of the Valk pick from Ashen and have some ideas to deal with it.
By the way,
Attackers
who else is in this group? Nocturnes and who?
Sorry, I was writing something. Aerial Arise Academy.
Oh, you're right. Ooh. Okay. That'll be interesting when we get to those games. But yeah, Surf starting on their defense, of course, will also be bringing the Valkyrie. Ashen is usually the man with that job. Surf also bringing plenty of utility to Goyo shields, the Aruni and the Jaeger to protect them, as well as Reed Sync on Castle. Surf have been a fan of this castle throughout both the last map and now apparently this one. Ambi takes a very early pre-fire at the garage door, but does not hit anything. And
Oh
wow,
my.
Reload.
Ashen shooting out the barricade, making sure that the tracers are not in the direction of the person he's targeting, and then clapping Mo. That is Nomad off the board, and oh, they see a second. It's Forrest on the drone.
Shock him. Shock him.
He'll spot the Goyo. Ambi's gonna get a little aggressive, but Forrest avoids the shots for now. Now the Goyo, spotting that he's no longer on the cam, knows the Twitch has moved into the building, narrowly loses his life, but Ambi knows that it is no longer safe. Does he know that Forrest is really chasing him? Nearly losing his life once again.
now.
Forrest finding these very slim angles. He'll decide that that's enough for today, though. He doesn't want to press the issue. He will fall off, but it's back to the view of the Valcam.
Yeah. Keep in mind, pushing off or rotating off probably the best idea because this is a cocktail defense and white stairs has seemed to be the focus for both the attack
Shit,
and
the
the
castle
defense.
scream.
Reed gets aggressive on that window, loses his life. Also Twitch drone lost in that engagement. Reed Adams gets another kill onto Reed Sync in cocktail bar, one floor above reading room. Always funny how that works out. But still, a 4v4, you lose your castle. I mean, sure, it's an on-site player, but they can always rotate one back. It's not the worst thing in the world, especially at a minute 30, where a lot of the defenders, if they're off-site, are going to start rotating back anyway. And losing a flank watch as well, you've lost Mohas on the Nomad, lost those air jabs. It's going to be problematic for Surf Esports, who are likely going to get aggressive. But if Ashen keeps taking these fights, and if he ends up losing them, it might not matter. They might not ever have an opportunity to go for a flank if they end up throwing their life away. But right now, it's instead Freak to go for a solo entry inside a Cigar, and he loses it to Spiff. Now, Wichita Wolves, down in the man count, have to try to somehow manifest a cocktail take with less than a minute remaining.
You've only got one man on the rappel. Forrest has since deviated from the pack, is all the way downstairs, prone punching his way through a barricade in reception. I'm not quite sure where Reed Adams is. Oh, he's on the roof. Okay, as the Hibana. He's going to join call out on the East rappel, it looks like, as Forrest is going to hit the famous crouch walk up white. We've seen a lot of people do this. It's kind of a 50-50. Ashen jumps out, but he's caught before he hits the ground. Call out finishes him. Reed is going for the plant, and Forrest has the cover already positioned inside of pallets, and it looks like the defenders aren't aware, but here's Asian. Down goes the cover. Call out on the window. Dead. Ambi with last two. I think Reed tried to jump out the window.
He did.
That's the only
He tried to
reason,
jump out the window.
Yeah, that's the only way I can think that Ambi got both of those kills at the same time, but nonetheless, Surf with a brilliant retake will take the first defense of the new half.
Do think right there, maybe a little bit of over-aggression from Ashen. I get what he was going for there. He was trying to get the guy on rappel.
I think
Obviously,
he also got downed by Forrest.
I get the idea. I don't think it's necessarily a bad one, but especially when odds are, I mean, he knows somebody's probably going to run out because there's not much of a direct way to counter him. Maybe should have instead more played with the team, but it ends up working out anyway because we have a very nice play where Forrest is focused on Ambi. In fact, there was a Z ping and Forrest is anticipating Ambi walking into Freezer, which he does right as Forrest is watching the angle. What went unread was Asian rotating through Cigar and pushing up White to get the kill onto Forrest, covering that area, because Wichita Wolves were never able to take control or even clear out Christmas or Cigar. That gave a large swath of the third floor free for the defense to rotate to play inside, to hold angles from, and Wichita made it work. They got the bomb down without that, but it's kind of like when you leave Bedroom up on Villa, on Trophy Statuary. If you give such a very good position to rotate through, the defense has so much more to work with and more opportunities to surprise you, like Asian did with Forrest, and, well, The collab with Ambi was just something different entirely.
5 seconds to go.
Not related.
So,
Attackers are moving out to
Wichita Wolves obviously playing the objective game in that round. Ashen with another Valcam outside.
Are we doing this again?
He sees someone. Who is that? He's going to peek out the barricade.
Drop the diffuser. Bomb located by attackers.
I didn't think that was going to land.
Yeah, hit him with the B-52.
Hit him with the hand of God.
Well, that was an impressive C4. Saw all the Z-pings coming through. Didn't think he'd land the trajectory, but wow. Very impressive.
Attackers
Very
What,
impressive.
diffuser.
Remember when a Steam did that in CCS?
I don't.
Oh. Well, he did the same thing, and it was
Do you remember
epic.
when Ashen did it in SCS?
You mean like 45 seconds ago?
Yeah.
I do. I am
too.
not, in fact, a goldfish.
Mm.
Oh,
Well,
is that
Forrest
Asian?
right now. I believe that is Asian. Asian, of course, earlier was trash talking. He said, and I quote, "Please shoot me," in which obviously they did not. He's trying to go for that gambit again and try to get Wichita Wolves to shoot him, which thankfully was working. Forrest was shooting at him, but no bullets landed. Thankfully for Surf right now, here's the big thing. We're a minute and a half in, and Callout still has not made too many entries onto the second floor. That does change immediately, but another Valk cam, which none of them have really been dealt with so far substantially by the Wolves, will relay intel to Asian that the sledge is likely pushing into reading. The gridlock as well, opening up an angle, but Asian is in a very problematic position right now. One to his left, one in front of him, one to the right of him. If he gets a kill coming out of here, I will be thoroughly impressed.
No
and he
way!
does! He gets the gridlock. The pinch does not come through in time. I mean, Asian, I don't think that's particularly funny, but I'm
What?
just feeling for the Wolves on that one. How do you let that slip away from
A
you?
three-man pinch.
You
One
just
on
like
the
can't let
doorway,
that happen.
A hole behind him, and he still gets a kill on Mo. And look at the damage he came away with. Forrest, 1 HP. Call out below
2 HP.
50. I mean, in a 2v4 with not a single member of the defense touched. This is going to be
Flash
rough.
formation.
Also, there's only 30 seconds left. They'll flush someone out of freezer. Cool. That guy's no
Wall-
longer in freezer.
Wall
The
ain't
wall
even
is fully
open.
reinforced, so you can't really do anything with that, can you? Now 15 seconds left as Forrest is hitting a crouch walk with barely any time on the clock. Good pre-fire from Callout will smoke Spiff. Good night to the Cade, but, I mean, with such little time remaining, this round is pretty much impossible. Forrest will go down, Callout gets the trade, but Ashen's on top of it. And Surf will take their next defense. And what was a 3-3 half is now a 5-3 lead.
I think the big factor in that round from beginning to middle and not really to end, but that's because the end was a 2v5 where both the attackers were on 1 HP. Not really a factor there. The intel throughout that entire round, I mean, we saw it with our very own eyes, influenced so many kills that round. We saw how it influenced the first play. I mean, Ashen tries to go for that spawn peek. Wichita Wolves aren't accounting for it very well. I like this IQ pick by Forrest because, well, it counters the Valkyrie, but Surf, the devious minds that they are, 6-pick off of the Valkyrie to the Jaeger.
Ooh.
Now, putting a bit of a dent in the utility department for Wichita Wolves. Very smart 6-pick. Of course, they lose that intel, but in terms of utility, Wichita Wolves will be a little more strapped for resources than they would be otherwise. But again, just to go back to the point I was making, that intel works so well. You get that C4. I imagine, and Harrison, you could probably agree, Asian doesn't come out of that or doesn't face nearly as good odds if there isn't a Valk cam that can at least provide sound calls to Wichita Wolves' positioning in that round. He might still come away with one. Asian is very good, but I imagine that influenced his position and the ability to get a kill there a lot better. The intel's been so good for Surf in the past couple rounds, and now the fact that they dangle it in front of Wichita Wolves and use it as a 6-pick to scare them into hurting their own utility, that is just cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah, that might just violate the Geneva Convention. I'll have to get Bob on that
Probably
one.
unconstitutional.
That too. It's a war crime. We'll have to get Interpol on the case. But, Surf looking confident on their defense, to say the least. Oh, Ashen going for another play. He's not on the Valkyrie, but it's not going to stop him. Luckily, Mo was all the way around the window, not exposed to that angle at all. Callout's just going to open it up for good measure before missing the hatch. He's shaking in his boots. He knows that.
We saw
might
Spiff do it
even be-
earlier. Not a big deal.
That's true. Hey, maybe Spiff was shaking in his boots.
Oh! Wait, actually, I think that occurred in a round they lost.
Aha! That means Wichita Wolves lose this round.
Expert analysis from Harrison and I.
Wow!
All right, gonna be real, Ashen. I don't think that was necessarily a gunfight you should have taken, but if you're going to take it, you better not miss. And while Ashen hasn't been missing many times in this match.
That's what they call an ego chow.
Oh, but also Harrison, guess what? Remember how they 6-picked to the IQ? That was really, aside from the 2 nades, their only source of like like destruction for like shields, like explosives.
Huh. I
A
mean,
little bit problematic.
they got call out.
They do, but
For how
as
long?
you can, that's the question. Not only, well, a C4 is missed. Ambi used it, and unfortunately, it goes wide. I don't know if Reed has a C4 right now. He's preoccupying himself with the Maestro cam, getting intel, likely feeding that to Asian and influencing his peaks. And now they've taken down the IQ. So that 6-pick, obviously, it was useless in effect, but they didn't know that. Now it's useless because he's dead.
Wow, I was going to say lest we forget, but I actually forgot. This is a reading defense, by the way. And also, if you saw where Spiff was previously positioned, you know how absolutely demonic that shot was that he just landed on call out. So, everyone, what he said, how long did they have call out for? Well, they had him for 2 minutes, but he won't actually be able to do anything on the vert play because the top floor clear took so damn long. Surf just kept fighting him, kept winning the fights, and with every kill, Wichita Worlds were delayed bit by bit. Now it's Reed Adams and Mo in a 2 versus 4. Now, yes, Ashen and Asian, the dynamic duo, are low HP. Ambi and Reed Sync are not, and Asian's just going to challenge Pillar. He catches Reed on the drop, and now it's just Mo alone. He'll capture the Maestro, but is it going to be enough? He's still got a 1v3 to go through. And, well, the Maestro was 1 HP, so it was an easy enough frag as it is. And as he tries to wade through the barb, well, Ashen's already holding the angle. Surf Esports take round number 9, put themselves on map and match point.
One thing I want to emphasize real quick, Ashen has won every single opening duel on the defense so far. It has been untraded every single time, probably because 2 of them have basically, well, one of them was a literal spawn peak, the other was a spawn peak in effect, but with the C4, so spawn kill. The other one, well, the other one, he just smoked somebody on a window.
That was just an unexpected ego peak.
Yeah, that was just an ego challenge that he won. But he's also 5-1 on the entry in this map so far. So you are wondering why Surf might be having a leg up in many of these rounds. Well, it is likely because, especially on the defense, Ashen will not stop ego challenging. Could hurt them.
Yeah. Do you think
he ends up getting countered.
Do you think it has to do with Ashen being 14-7 and Asian being 11-6?
You know, if I were a Nobel laureate, I probably would say perhaps.
If I were a statistician, I think those would be the first numbers that I would probably point to.
If I also had eyes, I would tell you that Mohes is on Osa right now. An operator who, while new, I've not seen much of, and when I've seen her, not because she isn't good, but just because the times I've seen her, the person playing Osa has either been the last alive or gotten smoked.
It's also interesting that you don't have eyes.
Happens.
Curious points. What do you do? Like, every time you toss to me, you just mute your mic and go.
No, Ashen's kill was so beautiful. It just like, it was just like seeing the pure face of God. Like I was just blinded. Please tell me this doesn't work again.
That too from Spiff, right? Aruni.
He's not even throwing them at the same spots. He's just throwing them in different positions.
Dude, that shot from Spiff too. Like we didn't see it, but I can definitely appreciate it. From heaven, all the way like across the bar into freezer with the Roni. Post nerf Roni. That's impressive. We also saw Parabellum using the Osa a lot. Remember, in their SI qual game, Ashen is going to say no, you cannot do that, and then whip a Val cam at them.
They saw that one.
But that's one of Mo's shields gone. He's going to place the other one on the same window.
They don't have any impacts.
Ambi has another C4 that they could use for it, but that means he won't be able to use it for personnel. He'll just be using it on the shield. I mean, hey, if Mo is still close enough to it, it could be a kill.
Are they?
But otherwise,
Oh.
all right. So much for the Osa shield. Ashen is just going to kill him anyway.
Well, the shield is still alive, though, and that's a very good position. See, the Doe could be sending out the smokes as well. Is this just going to be a drop? Are they going to send it on down? Well, if they do, they're in a 3v5 right now, and Reed is just watching that exact position, doesn't care about the nade, still loses his life, and it's still the man advantage for Surf. Not at all daunted by this. A triple for Ashen so far. Call out misses his opportunity, his one shot, one chance to take down Asian. He spots the Valkyrie, but it's a quad for him, and a 7-3 on their opponent's map pick. Only one round less dominant than the victory on their own. And Harrison, both T3 teams tonight took a 2-0 victory over their CL opponents. And at least for most of the maps, they weren't particularly close come the end of them.
Nope. And, well, if you had any doubt about why we're grouping T3 teams with Challenger League teams, and why that's not horribly unfair, well, if you want to rewind the VOD by about 3 hours, that's Exhibit A. And we just finished watching Exhibit B. Surf and Mystic are here to play, and my God, they do it beautifully. I mean, that match from Surf was almost textbook. Like, if you want to learn how to play the aggressive game, the full-on throttle, maximum velocity kind of playstyle for Siege, look no further than Surf. I mean, wow.
And but one thing I will say, I do think you are correct. I will say it's to an extent though, because there's plenty of things that if they were to write a textbook of Siege competitive Rainbow Six 101, plenty of what Surf did would certainly be in that book on the chapter listed as Cafe. But other things that they did, mainly involving Ashen on Valkyrie, aren't necessarily textbook 101. That is true. Those are plays that you can really only accomplish if you are as mechanically skilled as a player like Ashen or a player like Asian. What Surf do is they have so many of their fundamentals on lock, and many of what they do could just be found in the textbook that Harrison mentioned, but a lot of their playstyle is reliant on the mechanical skill of the roster they have at their disposal, and you can allow Ashen to make plays like that because odds are he's so damn good, it'll work.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about Ashen for a moment. So, first of all, like you said, Surf's playstyle is not necessarily dumb, right? It's just aggression, and it's aggression that they're allowed to play because everything that comes before that, the utility play, the crossfires, the coordination, they've got that unlocked. The fundamentals are down for Surf. So after that, once you build upon that, you can play however the hell you want. And we want to look at Cafe, right? All right. Cafe. Round 1. Ashen, 3k IQ. Round 2. Asian, 4k Ash. Round 3. Ashen, 4k IQ. Round 5. Asian, 2k Roam Clear. I mean, it was just over and over and over again. People were finding these multi-kills. Again, Kitchen, their bar defense. Incredible retake. Their Kitchen defense. Brilliant roam. That was never crushed. They all fell back to the site. Their subsequent reading defense, same thing. Their top floor hold was only quelled because they themselves fell back and still left Spiff up there, who got a 1-for-1. It's just the over and over and over and over again, somebody from Surf is getting multi-kills. And it's normally, we always say, your teammate getting a 4K, your teammate winning a clutch is not a consistent recipe for success. But for Surf, I don't know if it's just their incredible ability to, for the rest of the squad, the backup, like Ambi and ReedSync, to enable that kind of play. But for Surf, maybe it is consistent enough to just be like, hey, our game plan today, at Ashen and Asian, you guys are going to get sent in, and y'all are going to kill everyone. And with a backbone, like we've seen, maybe that works. 18-7. Oh my God.
1.96.
Bro, Ambi had a 5-3, was 5-3 and has 100% cost.
Ashen also had a 90% cost. Also, I would like to say for a 7-3, Callout also had a 90% cost. Big ups to that. Big ups to Callout. Actually, everyone on Wichita Wolves really. Look at that. 50 lowest is 50% for a 7-3 loss. Obviously, the ratings, you know, they're not great, but that's whatever. Everyone having a 50 to 60% cost for a 7-3 loss is actually fairly impressive for Wichita Wolves.
In 10 rounds, Ashen was involved in 7 entry engagements. 6-1. I mean,
what else can you say? You know what we can say though, Harrison?
what do you do?
I know what I'll do. I'll talk
What are
to
you
him
gonna do?
right now because we have Ashen set up for the interview, and I guarantee, I promise you, I'm gonna ask him how exactly he went through that. So, hello, Ashen. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can.
All right. I'm just gonna cut right to the chase. How much of what Surf is capable of doing? How much is really you guys having the fundamentals on lock, and how much is just the fact that players like you and Asian are just so damn talented because you went insane today, and so did everyone else.
Yeah, well, everyone likes to ban Zoe against me. Doesn't really matter. I can play other ops. Everyone likes to keep Velk up sometimes because I think, you know, gonna play with Mai. I don't need with Mai. I play Velk. I play Velk, I play Zoe, I play Yana, I play any op in the game, and I'll still drop that many kills.
Well, certainly, especially on the defensive half on Cafe, you heavily impressed Harrison and I with the Valkyrie play you're pulling out. But just to start out on Coastline, obviously, Harris and I were talking. Coast appears to be a very comfortable map for you guys. Were you really anticipating, you know, was it like, okay, we'll get our win on Coast, and then, you know, it's a CL team. Do you think it'll be 2-1? Or did you go into this just, like, super cocky, just like, you know, we got this. We can figure this out on map 2?
Well, we weren't even expecting to go Coast or Cafe. We were actually expecting
really?
them. We were gonna ban Bank, then like we thought that they were gonna pick Oregon, something like that. It was gonna be like Oregon Chalet, like that, but just wasn't. Once we saw it, Coast, you know, like we're very comfortable on Coast, as you can see, and we're just we went in with full confidence.
We saw it, don't worry.
Yeah.
We're
confidence.
well aware of that fact. I mean, moving to map number 2, Cafe as well, once you got on the defense, it didn't seem like there was a care in the world with what you were doing.
Yeah.
All the multi-kills, everything that you and Asian were pulling out. So for Cafe as well, I know obviously you didn't anticipate it. I'm assuming, is that a very comfortable map for you guys too? One that team should fear?
Well, honestly, like we didn't have the most practice on a Cafe. We just kind of like pulled stuff out, you know, played how we usually play, and it worked out. We have strats on that map, but we just pulled a lot of stuff out, and a lot of things were going my way that map, both me and Asian. So.
Well, yeah, we can certainly agree with that. So just to round things out, obviously both T3 teams today, I think obviously we mentioned at the top of the show, you and Mystic are, one of you is number 1, and whichever one isn't number 1 is likely the number 2 best T3 team around right now.
Yep.
Both you guys took your games over CL teams 2-0 tonight. Just what do you have to say to that? Just kind of you coming in, kind of the underdog. What do you have to say to the fact that both the top T3 teams won their games dominantly against their CL opponents?
Well, recently, you know, we have a huge respect for Mystic, and you know, we're not like, even though we're rivals, we still like each other and stuff like that. Like, I think we both know whenever we see each other play, like against a CL team like that, like both games, you know, we're cheering each other on. But for the CL teams, I'd say, you know, in those interview questions, they're like, how do you adapt to the T3 style? Well, they don't clearly. They don't know. They really don't.
Well, it might take a couple more BO3s to not only adapt to the T3 playstyle, but definitely to what you were doing in the match today. So, Asian, anything else you want to say? Just your own personal statement or anything anybody else watching that's a big Surf fan? Because I know Harrison and I are big fans of you guys before and after this match especially.
First of all, we just picked up a new support staff, Roshi, coach/analyst. He put in a lot of prep for this game. Huge shout out to him. You know, helped us through a lot, scrims and all that. Shout out to Karma and Surf. You know, we just recently got picked up by Surf. Very welcoming org, very nice guy by Karma. Also, shout out to my teammates. Nothing me or Asian or anyone else would be possible without each other. So, shout out to Ambi for just coming in, learning flank watch.
Always give a shout out to Ambi at the end. But thank you very much, Ashen. Excellent win today, and I know Harrison and I are excited to see more of what Surf has to offer in SCS. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Harrison, I know I said that, you know, we were big fans of Surf. I think I kind of misspoke. I think you and I are just big fans of T3 teams in general.
I love T3. Dude, I missed T3 so much.
It's not that you and I are like our specific Mystic fanboys or Surf fanboys, but even though, you know, we've been in CL for a bit, it's so nice seeing some of these amateur teams perform so unbelievably well.
Yep. Especially too, you know, with the players and the rosters and the leagues. Just I miss the chaos of T3. Oh, it's so good to be back. But if we want to look at the stats, 27-11.
7-3.
a 1.67 rating, 7 and 3 on the entry, almost a 1.5
kills around.
KPR. Oh my god. And then you got Asian, 21 and 14. I mean, both of them having 79%. I mean, look at the costs, right? Even Spiff, who's 10 and 15, still has a 63%. Reed Sync on hard support is 79. Ambi on flank watch is 84. And although Wichita Wolves kind of got their asses handed to them, we're not going to lie, that's a 14-5 scoreline, their ratings aren't terrible as well. Like, normally when you see 7-2-7-3, you expect, maybe one of the players, at like a 1.3, 1.2, and then
like
everyone kind of like 0.8 and
0.5s.
sub, right? But they're 0.7 and higher? I mean, sure, no one's above a 1.0, but that's because there was no one clear, incredible standout that was trying to backpack the team. I think everyone from Wichita Wolves was putting in an okay effort, each player in their own right. It just wasn't enough today.
And that's what at least just, obviously, Harrison and I are rooting. I mean, I will be honest, we do have a little bit of a bias towards our T3 teams, like seeing the amateur teams come out on top and doing well.
Especially for our prediction.
Yeah, well, especially for our predictions. By the way, looking at the two boys right now with 100% after the past couple days, I'm sure that'll tank pretty soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but we obviously love seeing the amateur teams do well. We have a little bit of bias in that regard, just to be upfront, but at least in terms of just impartiality and a storyline, as you can see in the sweet play, both tonight ending with the T3 teams coming out on top, showing that nobody is safe. Beautiful. But, of course, as we have our sweet play, just want to give one final thanks and shout out to Mike and Ike's, our great sponsor not over, but Mike and Ike's, as well, has been a faithful sponsor to SCS. We'll also shout out Mavix towards the end of the show, but who is our sweet play, Harrison? Who do you think ate their Mike and Ike's before they got into the match this morning?
It's got to be either Asian or Ashen.
I mean, it has to be one of the two.
Or maybe Freaks 4K. Freaks 4K was pretty nice too, but Asian and Ashen, it just happened so consistently. Oh, no, it is Freaks 4K.
This one's fair.
All right, yeah. I mean, the pre-fire, the one there, the second, flicking over, the spray transfer. I mean, everything about this play was beautiful.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you want to be like Ashen, like Asian, or you want to shoot like Freak, get your Mike and Ike's. You can get original or mega mix. You can power up your candy game and your in-game play to the next level with a pack of that candy. And of course, we also cannot forget our other faithful sponsor, Mavix Gaming Shares. You can experience Mavix Gaming Shares for yourself if you visit the shop, mavix.com/NerdStreet. We have NerdStreet Gamers. We have, of course, the code as well. What is it? NSG55 for $55 off. Navix even has, remember, they've got those AC and heated chairs.
Dude,
those are freaking sick.
Did you hear Benny and I suggested they have obviously the AC and the heat, but if they can fit it like a massage part as well. So like while you're playing, you get like a deep tissue massage in your back.
I think that'd be toaster in my chair.
That seems a little improbable, but
imagine if I could just sit here with AC and heating, even a back massager, and just make food in the chair. Mavix,
if you had an option to make food in your chair,
I
think you'd literally be like the space people in WALL-E. Like you would just be like, you'd just be sitting there, you got like your drink, you're just watching TV,
Yeah,
you just wouldn't move.
Like, I could cast like this. I don't feel any pressure on my diaphragm. This is great.
I can't see though, because my eyesight is terrible.
So thank you to Mike and Ike's, thank you to Mavix Gaming Shares, but also most importantly, thank you to all of you for watching. We're not done with the week yet. We're halfway through. We have 2 more play days, right, Harrison? We had Group A and B yesterday. We have Group C and E today. What do we have tomorrow? What do they have to look forward to?
I actually have no idea because I don't look at the schedule beforehand.
Well, I'll tell you. It's Group A and B. Excuse me.
Oh, okay. So the remaining A. So what is it? It's Two-Faced versus Ink, and
you get this, I'm very impressive because your memory also isn't stellar at times.
So Group B, the other team is Aqualix. Oh, Ferme spoiled it for me.
Aqualix, but wow.
Aqualix and soup.
I was really hoping to watch Harrison struggle with guessing that, but
I can't remember stuff like that, but I can literally remember specific Siege plays from like 3 years ago. I can literally tell you that at one point, Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy and Mint on Flipside were spam proning in a corner on Geisha, or in a corner on Skyscraper right next to the old bathroom during a play day. and Kix commented that they were feeding each other energy. Like, I can remember crap like that, but I can't remember stuff literally from earlier today.
Well, on that note, that's it.
We're done.
We're done. Thank you all for watching
That's it.
and tuning in to tonight's playdate.
We
still
love
have
you.
2 more. We still have 2 more this week. It will be different talent, of course, but some of the teams you all know and love. So I have been Lynx, joined by Harrison, and have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.